Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ESOC Autumn Championships 2018. This is the third place match for the bronze medal, fighting for $200, LordRaphael versus Hazza54321. And honestly, either of these players I would not have been surprised to see in the Grand Finals. Of course, LordRaphael, I'm sure many of you will remember his name. He is no stranger to Grand Finals, played against H2Os a couple of times. H2Os? Yes, beat him once. But Hazza, he does not have that sort of tournament history. And I think this event, really hoping to do well, and has come a very long way. I think just trying to prove to us that he is, one of these stronger players contending among the best, and wants to put his name up there. What a series it was, though. Really, really nice to see. Quite a few long games, very even games. I'd certainly recommend the very first match, but also I really enjoyed the third and fourth as well. Really excellent examples of entertaining Age of Empires 3. So, number 1, 3, and 4. As always, the timestamps are in the description below, so please do skip ahead if you desire to any of those, or any matchup or any map that you would like. Be warned, though, doing so may spoil the outcome of the series if you do intend to watch everything in order. But, without further ado, enjoy the video. Alright, hello everybody, and welcome back to the ESOC Autumn Championships 2018. This is the third place match between, let me show you, Hazza54321 and LordRaphael. We're now just getting the match vetoes in. Looks like Hazza will be vetoing Tibet, LordRaphael, Manchuria. So those maps will be banned from the map pool, and it looks like we're about to be starting game number 1 very, very momentarily. Let's take a look at the civilizations that are coming out. Dutch, by the looks of it, from Hazza, and LordRaphael landing on Aztec. This is the very first match, so we will see a little bit of a civ dance. France coming from Hazza, he greens in. Let's see if LordRaphael wants to accept the matchup. I'm joined by, of course, Maito.
Hello, Interjection. I'm doing great. But this is a sort of a different map to start on, with them vetoing the first two maps in the pool. I don't want to say that this is the first time that we've seen Gran Chaco as the first map, as a non-TP map in the series through the whole tournament, but it could be. So yeah, it looks like we are going to have France versus Aztec.
Yeah, and this is interesting. France coming out on Gran Chaco here. This is a non-trading post map, as you just mentioned. I'll be interested to see how this works out. But, everybody, let's green in here. We have, by the looks of it, some stats to show you. Looks like Hazza here has a 55% win rate overall this tournament, or throughout every tournament overall. LordRaphael, 64%. So these two players, looks like Raphael, the stronger tournament player. But Hazza, as we've mentioned, up and coming, been playing a lot recently, taking Age of Empires 3 more seriously, and certainly this tournament more seriously. So he's going to be a bit higher. We'll start with Hazza54321 in the north of the map on Gran Chaco here. Here he is in the colour, pardon me, on the south of the map, in the colour teal, cyan, light blue, whatever you want it to be. Representing 75% win rate with this particular civ out of all of his tournament games. So this is a non-trading post map, as we mentioned. Often France will be selected with trading posts, since they do like to go up to the Fortress Age, that 3 hands-on bleep style that Hazza would like to say. So, we'll see what he has in mind. This is clearly a civ that he's quite strong with and leans towards, so it should be a lot of fun. Let me turn this statistic off now so that we can do that. Looks like he's starting with 100 woods. That'll be the case, and let's follow this scout and see what he comes across. Perhaps I should have streamed in 30 FPS. This looks a little bit... yeah, this isn't ideal, but it'll be fine. We have, in the north of the map, in the colour red, playing as indeed the Aztecs, LordRaphael. This particular civ, also very high win rate, 73% overall, so it looks like something he's also very strong with. Maito, what's going on the map so far, then?
Not a whole lot's gone on so far. Interesting decision from Raphael. He actually sent his starting warrior priest off to do some scouting, managed to pick up a couple of llamas with that instead of immediately going for the fire pit right away. So he's going to miss out on a little bit of XP, having placed that fire pit maybe a little bit later than he could have. But it is going to allow him to get those 2 llamas, potentially use those 2 llamas to age up more quickly or produce more units later in the game. So that's a nice little pickup for him. Meanwhile, everything looks pretty standard on the other side. Market start for France, just gathering the wood for that hunting dogs upgrade and the house. And yeah, not a civ you normally see picked on a non-TP map, but I feel like France actually kind of makes sense into Aztec. They tend to do pretty well against Aztec, with the CDB being quite tanky and like good defenders against aggressive play, which Aztec likes to go for, and also able to go for a pretty strong sort of crossbow hussar composition that Aztec also sort of has a hard time dealing with.
Yeah, we'll see how that turns out, but it looks like so far LordRaphael is sort of winning this Age 1, picked up 100 food so far. As you mentioned with that warrior priest, managed to go out and find a little bit of llamas. I think perhaps that's worthwhile just to get out on the map really early on, pick up a few livestock if they're just sort of nearby. Your explorer obviously goes in the other direction. So currently 6 llamas, though, to Hazza. So with that native scout really picking that up. He also managed to find 60 food on the board as well, currently going for 100 XP. So Hazza much higher on the llamas there. So he's going to be really pleased with that Age 1. And although LordRaphael did get the higher treasure, looks like he's going to even it up with that 60 food and this 100 XP that he's going for currently. So not at all bad. Of course, LordRaphael, he does have his 2 outlaws or jaguar, not outlaws, you know what I mean, they're treasure guardians here. These are quite good units on this particular map, the ones he's converted.
I had something to say, and it's gone. What was it? What were you talking about? Right, the llamas. I was going to say that, yeah, and LordRaphael wouldn't have got any llamas if you're looking at the count, 6-2 for Hazza, and the direction that the war chief went, since the warrior priest actually got it on the other side of the map, as the direction he sent his war chief. Oh, that's a mouthful to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a good decision by him to actually send that war chief or warrior priest out, pick up a couple of llamas, and looks like he's just going to be chasing the explorer back to base for now. Probably not a whole lot going to happen there. Maybe Hazza might have a crack shot come up soon, might be able to pick off one of those guardians before Raphael turns around. But regardless, this is what this is doing is this is going to buy him some time. Hazza's not going to be as free to scout as Raphael will know where that explorer is at all times, so the only thing he has to spot the forward base is that native scout, which is going to end up spotting the villagers actually, so not going to be a super big deal. And not enough wood for the war hut just yet, but it will be dropped shortly, looks like.
Yeah, sorry, I missed these villages in the center of the map there. I've been trying to figure out why the screen is... It must be because it's in 60 FPS. I've done a few things to speed it up, but Native Scout and the Explorer have found the war hut. Good job on Hazza being in position here. He knows that the war hut is likely to come down in the middle of the map. Manages to get these 2 units nearby, getting some nice early siege damage here. Kiting back this leopard. He doesn't have his crack shot available just yet, or it's going to be recharging very shortly. Looks like he won't be needing to use it, though, since, of course, he's going to be kiting that back. Doesn't want to be going into hand combat with that Explorer, though. I think he'd quite like to crack shot the blowgunner, but he does not want to get into hand combat, just being pushed all the way back. Did get a bit of cheeky damage. Let's take a look at that war hut. Looks like it's taken a little bit of damage, but every little helps. Didn't manage to do as much as he perhaps have liked, but that is down to LordRaphael being there with his units and stopping him.
Yeah, every bit of damage counts, and looks like the hero might go down here. It's at 10 HP. Yeah, it's down for sure, so that's a good pickup for Raphael. Does lose the blowgunner in return for that, but the XP will help speed up a couple of his shipments, maybe, after the 700 wood. Let's take a look at the shipment sent. So, just 700 wood so far. 4 Puma actually coming out as the first units for Aztec, so he's going to use that maybe to attack this house. He's already begun sieging with his war chief. I don't think he knows exactly where the military building is yet, but he looks like he might find that reasonably soon. And this is going to be... Hazza's going to have to defend some villagers, or sorry, garrison some villagers or something if he wants to defend this house. Puma do have a lot of siege.
Yeah, wow, chucking in the damage. Half health already. In fact, less. Definitely going to be going down. The town centre there filled with 10 villagers inside. In fact, 9 actually. Does manage to take out. Look at LordRaphael's use of the cover mode there, being very careful to make sure the individual units being attacked don't take extra damage, making use of that. Looks like 3 Hussars are going to come out, though, but these are going to be very vulnerable to those Puma Spearmen there. Already taking some damage, trying to get onto the Mace Holton, but being caught by these Spearmen. The town centre doing its best to fend them off. Does manage to get off there. These three Hussars being a little bit threatening. Going to take out that Aztec War Chief. The Minutemen were called, but it looks like has LordRaphael in a good position to just get on out of here and not going to have to deal with those Minutemen.
Hazza might still go for this. The Minutemen actually bonus against Puma. They count as siege units, so they actually do insane damage to them. You can pick them off with some good micro, but Raphael not keen to lose anything to those. Minutemen just going to back off. And now with the loss of that house, Hazza's actually housed. Doesn't have any more units in queue. Doesn't have a racks up yet. He's dropping houses now, but he doesn't have any more units coming after this for a while. And that could be in big trouble with the 9 Mace shipment coming in next for LordRaphael.
Yeah, this looks like a fairly aggressive build coming from LordRaphael. Start with the 700 wood just to get a bit of infrastructure up at home. Got some market techs by the looks of it. Placer mines now coming in. But on top of that, 10 Mace Holton followed by 9. And it's been training Puma Spearmen. There's a lot of units in here. Looks like Hazza going to be sending those 2 cav off into the wilderness to see if they can find some villagers to kill up in his opponent's base. And I think that's a good decision. Not really anything he can do here at home. 2 cavalry not going to be very effective against those Pumas, which are now just absolutely tearing through these buildings. More being added in, that market going down, and now moving on to the house.
Yeah, and like Puma siege is really, really fast. He can siege through these buildings really quickly. That stable's likely going to go down, actually. 2 crossbows are in queue now, but he doesn't have a lot of wood. Might not even be able to finish that batch, and I really hope that he has 8 crossbows on the way for his own sake. Looks like he probably does, just looking at the population count. Meanwhile, though, in Raphael's base does lose a villager, forcing some idle time there, and also maybe just distracting Raphael a little bit, but back at home has lost a stable, and losing the stable in this matchup hurts a lot, especially when you're already training units that cost wood, like crossbows. It's going to be really difficult for him to replace that stable. And now that the stable's gone, we already see that Raphael's transitioning into coyote runners. And part of the reason you don't make coyote runners with Aztec nowadays is because of how weak they are against cavalry. But without the cavalry presence from Hazza, now that the stable is down, it's going to make those coyote runners a lot more effective.
Yeah, it looks like these 2 cavalry from Hazza here not going to be overly effective either. They're trying to find their way into the base. There's only 2 of them. They don't want to take that town centre fire. One of them's half health. Not going to be finding any villagers here. Looks like 8 crossbowmen was called from Hazza just to aid in this defence here. Not overly helpful at the moment since there wasn't a fight happening when they arrived, but Hazza still felt threatened enough to add them to his army to get them out there. He does have a reasonable, if we take a look at the up here, 30 is about fairly even armies, but we must remember that some of that is Hazza's 1 HP Minutemen, which is not ideal. LordRaphael posturing on the edge of his base here, just before looking for a good opportunity to head in, just being very sort of threatening in the area.
Yeah, and still applying some pressure with the raids back at home too is going to make it awkward for Raphael. He hasn't herded any extra hunts just yet, and the hunts in his base are about to run out, so those Hussars could actually be a big problem moving forward in this game, and Raphael's actually sending some coyotes back just to make sure that he's going to be able to gather in the future, so that is going to divert a little bit of the pressure away from Hazza's base, and give him a little bit more freedom to sort of get set up, maybe get the stable back up, or maybe even go for an age up if he really wants to. But so far, it doesn't look like he has any wood for a stable, just continuing to train musketeers. Maybe he's ending 600 wood. Yeah, 600 wood has arrived, so he'll be dropping a stable with that. But yeah, good on him to just keep up the pressure with the Hussars. Looks like they might get caught. No, Raphael just missing them. Yeah, definitely buying him a lot of time against this pressure here.
Yeah, my apologies to the stream. It's really distracting how laggy it is when I move the screen around. I might have to switch it back to 30 frames per second or maybe 40 or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, it looks like Hazza's pulled through from this. If we take a look at the recalculated unit population here, 32 economic units for Hazza. So despite this pressure, has survived in terms of economy. And now, if he can just stay in the game like this, it should be absolutely fine going forward. Looks like that cavalry pressure, these 2 Hussars, just two units, is causing so much frustration. You know, tons of coyote runners being pulled just to try and deal with this. Looks like there's 4 going to chase them around, but of course, the Hussars do move a bit more quickly. We do have a fight back at home. Looks like the Pumas now trying to come in. Looks like the ranged infantry are going to be very effective against this, but there's a lot of coyotes there as well. And now, once we can get the snare, and once these units can get the surround, the Puma's going to be able to deal good damage. Looks like there's a ton of red units here. It looks pretty tough for the teal player.
Yeah, and CDB are finally coming in now. There is Hussar in queue, so if they pop out, this could be huge in this fight. Blunderbuss is also about to be finished researching, so these villas are going to do decent damage as well. 5 Hussars in queue, they do pop out. There's not a lot of Puma left. He could actually clean up this fight.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to. He's managed to take down enough Puma Spearmen. There's still a few left, which are going to be causing problems for the cavalry, but he's got the town centre, the crossbows, and those CDBs, of course, can do some damage there. Looks like those Pumas scaring those cavalry. Have managed to take out a few. He's got coyotes to protect the Mace Halton as well. I think Hazza here gonna have to... Sorry, pardon me, LordRaphael here gonna have to head on out away from that. Hazza has managed to hold this pressure here, but let's take what effect did it have on his economy? Yeah, it looks like he's gone down a few villages. So LordRaphael's taken the economic lead, but only by a little bit. And Hazza now starting to eat up those llamas, Mito. So he's gonna have a big food boost here. This could be his moment to repopulate his army and then push forward.
Yeah, that was a good defense by him. He's definitely tied up the military count a little bit, and now with the with LordRaphael's hunts running out, looks like he's going to have to be moving a lot of vills, or he just moved a lot of vills actually. And with the llamas, he might actually be able to get enough units maybe to contest these war huts, or maybe to squeeze in Najub, but it doesn't look like he's going to go squeeze in Najub, so we'll be seeing probably some kind of push from him shortly. There is a coyote raid coming on the back side of Hazza's base here. Don't know if it's going to accomplish too much. Looks like he might find one vill. No, not going to find one vill. But, yeah, so I guess the plan moving forward here for Raphael is just to keep the French player in H2. He knows that the resource count inside Hazza's base is pretty low. 700 food has arrived now, but still going to be very difficult for him to gather resources if he wants to age up. So as long as Raphael can keep a little bit of pressure up, just enough that Hazza feels like he can't age safely, that might be enough to sort of drag the game out long enough into late colonial, where Aztec tends to be a little bit better than France. Yeah, both players just going for some raids on the side. Looks like one CDB is going to go down. Also going to spot the 2 Hussars going for a raid of their own.
Yeah, they've been running around quite a lot, actually. Hazza being very diligent. These 2 Hussars been moving around the map a lot, definitely trying to evade the capture of LordRaphael's coyotes, but they haven't been found yet, and they're still doing a good job. He's being on top of raiding here. It looks like they're now coming in a second group, going to be doing some damage to these villages. Does manage to take one out there, nicely done, and going to be only heading on out, taking a few shots from the Mace Halton, but thankfully they're not so great against the cavalry. Two more in base here. Looks like they found 2 more villagers, so this is really good from Hazza.
Yeah, these raids are definitely keeping him in the game, but look at the war huts here. Hazza is pushing, going to be retreating now actually, but almost got that war hut while Raphael was distracted with those raids. But yeah, these raids are definitely keeping him in the game, definitely diverting a lot of attention back to Raphael's base and away from his own base, and also killing off these vills is putting him back in the economic lead. And yeah, I've got to say that things are looking pretty good for Hazza for the moment.
Yeah, looking good. Looks like he does manage to capture one of these Hussar here. He's still got 2 more. Looks like the villagers now only just getting back to work. So a lot of idle time from LordRaphael. Looks like these 2 Hussar are in trouble. Does manage to evade capture, though. Going to be heading around the back and will survive another day. In the meantime, looks like Hazza pulling all his units together now. Quite a big Hussar mass. If we take a look at military units there, we see 15 Hussars, 22 Musketeers, and 5 crossbows, which is definitely a lot bigger in terms of army than his opponent's sort of... well, actually, it's fine. They're fairly even. But I feel like this army's quite effective against what his opponent has.
Yeah, we were mentioning earlier that coyotes are not the greatest unit against... other cavalry units. They have pretty low HP and low attack, and they basically, when they're hitting Hussars, they don't really do a lot of damage. They don't really do a whole lot of they don't do a very effective job of killing them at all. And without he did just train some additional Puma, actually. So he is sort of mindful of that weakness in his army composition. But if Hazza doesn't go soon, it could be... Or, sorry, if Hazza does choose to push soon, it could be a problem for him.
Yeah, the resources for Hazza... He's still got some hunt. It looks like we've got one hunt left in base. There's one a little bit further off, but that is quite close to his opponent's war huts there. As far as coin goes mining out here, this is a full mine. He's sort of got a couple of villages on the other side as well, but exposed. That's where LordRaphael is now heading with his army. Lots of Mace Halton here. It looks like they're not guarded by any particular units, but they're not far behind. So the Kaiji runners are now catching up, so these... not too vulnerable.
Yeah, and before we get any extra action in the game, I just want to point out something that Hazza is doing at the moment, which is gathering from these berries, actually, because he doesn't want to split up which side of the map his vills are on. He is actually sieging War Hut now. I'll maybe return to this thought afterwards. Looks like he is going to get it. Raphael is coming back now with those Puma, but the Mace are still pretty far away. And he might actually get both of these war huts, which is going to be huge. Raiding, too, in the back of the base. There's like 40 villagers being idled from Raphael. This is huge. But no, not confident enough to actually go for that other war hut. But still, the raid at the back of the base is going to be really, really painful.
Yeah, he's taking quite a few villager losses here. Trying to use a couple of vills to take these out. That town centre doing damage. In the meantime, though, back here, LordRaphael is going to be pushing forward. There's Puma coming forward. Not going to be doing all that great against Musketeers, so they're going to head on back there. They need the support of the Mace Halton, which are a little bit further behind, so not going to be able to push in just yet. Looks like Hazza not quite confident enough to push out there. He did manage to kill the war hut, as you were saying, but that was unguarded, making use of an opportunity where he knew his opponent's units weren't nearby. But here, neither player... Oh, no, 5 Musketeers. Looks like they were rallied to the wrong location. Could be taken out. Easy pickings for these Coyote runners. Hazza bringing his main army forward to try and save what he can and scare those Coyotes away. Looks like they're going to take a volley. They do get scared. Those cavalry are going to hop on. No, there are Pumas nearby. Maybe going in.
Yeah, this might be the fight. Looks like, no, just going to be trading a few units. And actually, after the smoke clears, I think that trade was actually better for Hazza than it was for Raphael, despite how it started.
Yeah, I'm going to turn it to 30 frames per second after this, because I think that'll make a big difference. It's so distracting for me as it moves. And I don't think it's causing lag, but it could be. Who knows?
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
2 Hussars in the back here. Looks like they're not going to find any villagers on these dead hunts here, but are going to force off the ones on the mine, on the town centre there, keeping up good raiding pressure. Villagers now coming back to work. And the longer this game goes, it's actually going to be in favour of France. Look, he's got more economic unit population, and obviously France has access to better upgrades. He's got his steel traps in, and that's going to be a big food boost over the course of the game. However, he is collecting a few berries, so perhaps mitigated by that. Looks like France is now becoming confident enough to push forward. We're going to be heading towards this war hut. 3 warrior priests coming in. Perhaps this is the wrong time for warrior priests. He was trying to set up for a longer game, but some sort of military shipment or upgrade could have been more effective here. Hussars have been upgraded for Hazza. He sent in the hand cavalry hit points. Actually going to get back here. Just posturing nearby. Both players not really wanting to commit just yet, Maito.
And you know, I was talking about how Aztec wants to be fighting in the late colonial here. But it is looking very good for Hazza, for sure. And no Coyote combat or anything like that from Raphael yet either. I suppose he doesn't have a lot of Coyote rares left. He sort of switched back to that Mace Puma composition after seeing just how many Hussars there are. But one thing that is starting to become relevant the longer that this game stays in colonial is that Raphael is still going to have shipments with that infinite 600 coin shipment, while France is not going to have any sort of shipments that they can send. He's just going to be stacking them after maybe his next shipment or two, but the game might not last long enough for that to matter. Puma are popping out onto the Hussars. This is actually a really good position for Raphael for the moment, but there might just not be enough stuff. CDB are in the fight too. That's really difficult for both Puma and Mace to kill. And it looks like the war hut's just going to go down. Raphael is going to be abusing that Mace range a little bit, but not going to be super effective with the CDB there up front tanking.
Yeah, but they're not gathering. That's the trouble. This definitely was a good play, though. Manages. Still raiding. Hazza on top of it this game. They are going to get on out of there. The villagers do have enough. 6 ranged attack there, so enough to threaten a hussar when they're in mass like this. But Hazza using his villagers that were gathering sort of nearby to take out that forward war hut, that middle of the map war hut from LordRaphael, giving him lots of map control. No longer has that, freeing up the access to the hunts and just giving him a bit of breathing room to deal with. So a really nice use of those villagers that were nearby just to clean up the middle of the map there. And now by the looks of it, going to be pushing forward. You're absolutely right though, that 600 coin, that infinite shipment definitely could become real helpful for the Aztec player. Looks like France, you know, let's what has he got left in his deck? Wilderness Warfare coming out. So this is dire straits for the French player, really running out of useful shipments to be sending. We've been in the colonial age for that long. It does upgrade skirmishers, which will be helpful when he gets up to the next age, but for now only affecting his villagers and native warriors, although he has no trading posts. So that goes to show what could be in store if he manages to stay. Look though, coyote runners in the south here, lots of villagers, but are met by 3 hussars.
Yeah, but those 3 hussars are definitely not going to be able to deal with these coyotes super effectively. But on the other side, losing another war hut, he doesn't actually have any military buildings left. And this is looking really tough for Raphael.
Yeah, there's a lot just constant cav in his base following around. Thankfully, these pumas are going to be able to scare them off. Nice Aztec nearby, they're able to get a bit of extra XP for killing them. Actually just going to turn around and say, hey Puma, I'm actually just going to fight you. But then I think he saw those Mace Halton and didn't want to be fighting until the rest of his infantry armies nearby. Nice mixture there of crossbows and musketeers, so a nice composition here. 3 units going to be quite effective against what his opponent's got there, which is just Mace Halton and the Puma Spearman, which can be quite easy to micro off if you're careful with your hussars. So, but as we say, LordRaphael has that slight advantage now that we're at this point in the colonial age. That 600 coin he can keep sending, but shipment's going to be slowing down, especially without trading posts, so I wonder how relevant that will be. Also, Hazza saving to age up too.
Sorry, yeah, saving up to go to the Fortress Age. Just one thing I've noticed, Raphael doesn't have resources to place a war hut, and he hasn't had resources to place a war hut for a long time. And I wonder, with all these villagers he's placed on coin, if he's actually just decided to gather up for his big buttons to sort of make up for the fact that he doesn't have a military building, and use that to go for some sort of timing. He might sort of anticipate that France is trying to age here, and does manage to pick up a house, forces some vills off the hunts. Nothing too big going to happen. Looks like he is going to spot these vills up here and might choose to walk up there at some point soon. But, yeah, he could also be thinking about aging. I'm not sure. 4 vills coming out for Raphael not too long ago as well. Still no coyote combat or anything like that, so...
Yeah, it looks like France has got that age up in queue as well. Gonna catch, though, a ton of villagers up here that we're gathering. Those Puma Spearmen...
Please don't die, Interjection. We need you. But yeah, these CDB are going down, but Hazza has reached Fortress. He's going to be getting those veteran techs shortly, most likely. Vet Hussars is on the way now. Vet Musks is coming in as well. And once those upgrades are in, I think that's going to be go time for Hazza here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Both of those upgrades coming in. It's late enough in the game. They've got big enough economies to just grab these right away. And as soon as he's got them, that is going to increase the power level of his army by a huge amount. Just 400 resources each for such an enormous military bonus at this point in the game when you've got this many units. So very, very effective here. Just going to be coming in now. We'll see that animation change. Look how beautiful those units are now, those musketeers with their improved uniforms. And LordRaphael knows this will be coming now. He probably suspects that those upgrades are in. Just going to be... we'll see this army here with the Pumas. Thankfully for Hazza, though, he's going to be able to take some of these out and do a bit of damage there. Looks like those Pumas not going to be able to be killing any villages, which is, I imagine, sort of where they were coming over to. LordRaphael, in response, is going to be getting up to the next stage as well. He does have quite a few villagers on this fire pit, so and very even economies. So if he can get up to the next stage sort of relatively quickly and unpunished, he should be okay, right, Maito?
Maybe, but you got to remember that he's already used his fast agent politician in the get up to the colonial age, so it's going to be a long time before he reaches Fortress, a long time before he completes those veteran upgrades. And a longer time until he gets those shipments rolling, too. So there's a couple minutes here where he's in big trouble if Hazza chooses to really, like, push for it.
Yeah.
And 2 Falcons coming out now. That's definitely going to be go time. Pumar coming in, going to be rescuing this Explorer, getting a few good hits off too, but going to be losing some Pumar in response.
Yeah,
but Hazza knows that there's villagers over here, and with the 2 Falcons, he's going to be taking down this warhead pretty quickly, forcing this army back. And in the back of Raphael's base, still raiding with musketeers this time.
Yeah, those warrior priests only just coming back out now. 4 musks in there doing a lot of damage. Looks like the French army has come around this side of the map now, is taking out this war hut. And this is a very significant location. He's got a few hunts here. And you look at the minimap, there's only 2 hunt spots left. Looks like Hazza is on the other one here. A couple of rear there and some... I won't even bother attempting what they are. Some hunt on this side of the map as well. Looks like that Hazza has full control over this, and his 2, as you mentioned, falconets in play as well. Going to be marching forwards here, and going to be able to do a ton of damage. LordRaphael only just getting up to the next stage here, so Hazza going to have free reign to definitely kill this house, and maybe a couple more. You know, those falconets, lots of siege, and we've got to wait for those upgrades to come in from LordRaphael as well. Just up to the next stage here, is cleaning up that musketeer raid. Really nice work from Hazza, managing to keep that population in his favour by killing off all these villagers. Now researching Elite Mace Halton, and that will be coming in very shortly.
Yeah, and after losing that warhead too, that means he can't research Veteran Puma at the same time. And he's also housed, he's down to 134 out of 110 population. Building another war hut now. 1 house has gone up, but he's still housed. There's not going to be any additional units coming in for a long time now. He's dropping 2 houses in the back of the base now, but going to be losing more on the front. And I honestly don't know what he does from here. He doesn't have 6 Arrow Knights in his deck. He can't really deal with...
Oh, that's unfortunate.
He
6
can't really
Eagle
deal with
Runners.
these Falconets very effectively, so...
Yeah, that's the one thing. He's going to have to figure out how to deal with these cannons. Once they're down, everything becomes a lot easier. But he did have 2 shipments available. I will spank you. I will spank you comes in with $4 and says, double me, please.
So it looks like what did he actually age with? I think the play actually from Raphael here is to try to abuse the yeah, he aged with the chief. So the war chief does have that swashbuckler attack.
Oh, does it?
Can get on top.
Huh.
Yeah, if it can get on top of those falconets, he can use that on the falconets and take them out very quickly.
Looks like LordRaphael is going to head on out of here now. That falconet nearly dead, low on HP. He's done as much damage as he thinks he can do, and before it dies, just going to get on out of there, make it so that his opponent really has to work for that falconet kill, and he's just... you know, just going to keep his army alive, keep training units, and stay in the game. Now getting in even more upgrades. Look at that, the cavalry combat coming in. So these hussars are now adding in gendarmes since he is up to the next stage. Going to be very tanky. He did get that earlier colonial upgrade as well. So Hazza's army, this French army, very, very upgraded here. Going to be quite pleased with this position. Looks like, though, the Mace Halton on the move. They're going to be heading towards the hunts, which have been just sort of nearly used up. There's only a couple of alive animals here. Town centre going down in that area of the map. Looks like Hazza back on the aggression, though.
Yeah, he's playing this really, really slowly. He knows that there's no way that Raphael can really fight his army. And so he's just getting his upgrades in, just waiting, like, biding his time, getting his army even stronger. He's actually max population now as well. So this is really, really tough to be... A really tough position to be in as Aztec, especially since he doesn't have any Eagle Runner Knights. Fire Pit has also gone down. Is he rebuilding that anywhere? It doesn't look like
it looks like we got the big button tomahawks now coming in, though. Could be time for the shipment. Looks like Jaguar Prowlers coming out. I thought he was perhaps going to go in there. Looks like, though, we're just going to try and get on top of that town centre and just knock it down. Mace Halton coming in for a few volleys, but those crossbows able to get some damage on him. Just going to sit on these cannons. He's parked outside his opponent's base, just sitting on top of these, and just going to force LordRaphael to do something about them.
Yeah, and Raphael really doesn't want to risk taking a fight with those Falcons up. He's just been sitting there waiting for the town center to do its work on the Falcons. And once the Falcons are down, even though he's still behind in military, that like this fight will be a lot easier for him if those Falconets are gone.
Definitely. Back on this other side, though, 1,000 wood being collected up by these villagers and a second town centre being added in. So LordRaphael setting up for the late game here and securing the resources left on the map. In fact, actually, there aren't really any hunts here. In the meantime, looks like that falconet is half health again. And as I mentioned earlier, Hazza not going to let it die, just going to head on away. Falconet setting up to do damage, doing a bit of a 360 there. But Yes, it looks like Hazza in a commanding lead with the points, but LordRaphael, he's got all 3 town centers set up.
Yeah, I think he's sort of identified that there's no way that he can fight this French army, so he's just going to try and stall as long as possible, try and get to max population if he can, and also just try to ramp up his economy as much as possible with as much time as Hazza sort of gives him. I think he's also sort of identified that Hazza's sort of been hesitating to really push this military lead despite being max population. He's actually going up to industrial now, though.
Yeah.
Which is going to make things even more difficult. But yeah, I think the game plan from Raphael here is just stall as long as possible and hope that he can make it to late game with a somewhat respectable economy, and then hopefully sort of fight the French army from that position. But it's a very, very long road back into the game from here, it looks like. Noble's Hut has finally gone up now. Going to be training some Arrow Knights or Eagle Runner Knights, maybe, to deal with those cures and that one remaining Falconet, perhaps.
Yeah.
But still housed, no units in queue at the moment. And I guess Hazza is just going to be waiting to hit industrial, maybe get that Royal Guard Gendarme upgrade. Playing it very, very, very safely. But you got to wonder, with these 3 town centers up now, and with Raphael sort of catching up in military population and stuff like that, if waiting too long is going to cost Hazza in another few minutes here if he doesn't choose to fight.
Yeah,
he is going to have that guard upgrade, and he is going to have factories, but you got to wonder if he's wasting his advantage here.
Yeah, it was certainly earlier. You posturing outside his opponent with this what looked like an enormous cavalry mass, all of these hussars, and just as many gendarmes with both those upgrades. The Fortress Age 1 for HP and attack, and the Colonial Age HP upgrade. And it felt like he could have just rammed his units in there and just smashed the opponent down. Instead, playing it safe, he doesn't want to commit to any fight. It is a 3rd place grand final. There's money on the line here. I think the winner of this series gets $100 extra over their opponent. I think 200 goes to the 3rd place winner and 100 to the 4th place. So it's understandable why he didn't want to just jam his units in there. He was afraid that something could go wrong and just wants to play it as safe as possible. But in doing so, as you mentioned, he's let his opponent go, get both these 3 town centers up. He's got a couple of nobles' huts here now, starting to train Eagle Runner Knights. Aztec safely remassing, but as you mentioned, going to industrial. So here, perhaps he can get those gendarmes up. He's got his gendarmes in now, so these are going to be very, very powerful. And we'll see. And he's also getting the cavalry cuirass at the arsenal. So it looks like we're going to get some really, really powerful upgrades. He's now max pop. This is where he potentially wants to go in. Surely taking a volley at these skirmishers here.
He actually still doesn't even have Elite Puma, actually. He forgot to research it. And that's going to be huge against these gendarmes. These gendarmes are just going to tear through this army. There's no way that he's going to be able to kill all of these units. So, unfortunately, 2 heavy cannons coming too is going to be really difficult to deal with. There are Arrow Knights out now to deal with those cannons, but there's definitely not enough anti-cav here.
And it's just infantry. They're just going to get torn apart by these cannons. They're just going to absolutely destroy it. I mean, there's a few of the Eagle Runner Knights in there as well, but not enough to really make a difference. Now, slamming the cavalry onto these Mace Holton, there's no Puma left, just going to absolutely rip through them, shred them to bits, and these heavy cannons just providing all this covering damage. LordRaphael going to tap out there, and game number 1 goes to Hazza. What a great first game to start with. Who said non-trading post maps are boring? I don't think anyone said that, but seeing France perform without trading posts on this map here, picking up that first point.
Yeah, well played by him. Definitely played it really slow towards the end, and even though I was questioning it a little bit, to be fair to him, France does scale very well. Not a lot of civs have a good answer to France's sort of late-game military, especially the gendarmes. So well played by him. And really, it all came down to those raids early in the game that sort of diverted so much attention away from his base, allowed him to sort of recover after losing that stable, and bought him just enough time that once the push did come underneath his town center, he was able to get just enough units out to defend the push and get himself back into the game. So really well played by him.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the graphs here. Players actually just starting to switch over to mills and plantations. So had this game gone any longer, we'd have seen this fight sort of end If it was an more even fight, they'd have very few units each, and then basically it'd be a bit of a reset. You know, the villagers just gathering wood. There's no hunts left on the map. They'd start building mills and plantations. It really could have been quite interesting, but Hazza going to get up to that industrial age. That's another reason to go there. He had identified all the resources on the map were out, wanted to get those factories down so that they could generate coin, and then he can just build the less expensive mills and gather food that way. So nice to see that from Hazza 2. Industrial Age, definitely a good play when there's not particularly many resources on the battlefield and had the opportunity or wouldn't have been too punished to get there. Does achieve that. Let's take a look at all resources gathered. Hazza outperforming LordRaphael with the steel traps all game long, and I think maintaining just a slight eco advantage, that constant raid pressure. And let's not forget that LordRaphael had to send his villagers into the town centre quite often due to being raided. Military unit population there could be interesting to look out. Fairly even, and then at the end we see this giant drop off. But that is the end of game number 1.
I just want to mention something I tried to talk about earlier but didn't really get the time to finish my thought. One thing that Hazza was doing while he was raiding as well was he left a few of his villagers on the berry bushes instead of on like resources on sort of the left side of the map. We saw that after he had to leave his base, he positioned all of his villagers on one side of the map, so on the right side of the map, and then all the other villagers were positioned underneath his town center, whereas I think a lot of other players may have positioned villagers on both the left side and right side of the map. But by doing that, leaving a few villagers on the berries, it meant that he didn't have to walk to new resources, could also defend the exposed villagers that he did have out on the right side of the map more easily. And since he was raiding, he didn't have all of his military centralized to one location. That meant that it was really hard for Raphael to really apply any pressure to his economy. We did see him going for some coyote raids, but again, we just wasn't able to find anything because Hazza was keeping those villagers so well defended while he was splitting up his own military and raiding himself. So really good decision by him, and something that not a lot of people would have done, I think.
And that will be the end of game number 1. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Don't go anywhere. We'll have game number 2 coming up in just a moment. Let's head on out and get into that. I'm going to restart the stream to 30 frames per second because I think that's going to make a big difference to not only the jumpy jarringness of the bumpy movement on the screen that you're seeing, but also Maito's tapping his keyboard really loudly. Also, it should improve my ability to concentrate because that was actually really distracting and I feel like I was missing some of the raids and things going on. So the stream will go down and then it will go back up again. We will see you in just a second. But we are ready to go into the next match here. Looks like we do have a German mirror. Let's bring up the stats for, of course, the 2 players here. Looks like fairly even win rate for LordRaphael. 64% win rate overall in his tournament games, in every tournament ever played that he's played in. And very similar win rate for this particular Civ as well. So this is unsurprising. Looks like Hazza going to be going in to this one with a 0% win rate. It's not actually 0%. It's that Hazza has never played a tournament game with Germany before.
Sorry. It is actually 0%. He's played 3 tournament games with Germany before, so...
Oh, that's even worse. I knew there was a couple of stats in there where I think you... Oh, actually, I remember now. You wrote the question mark because we didn't know. He had not played a single game with them. But for this one, he has, and he's not won any. So this could be troublesome for Hazza. We'll start with him. He is in the colour red over on the left-hand side of the map here. Looks like it will be a 100 wood start for the Germany player. Let's turn these stats off. This could be a little bit troublesome. We'll see how it goes. He's been a lot more active recently, and those games played with Germany might have been all the way back in 2016 or 15, whenever the first tournaments are. This is so much smoother moving the camera around. This is absolutely... this is so much better. I'm very pleased with this, so I will hopefully be less distracted and the quality of the commentary will go up as a result of that. Hazza picking himself up 40 wood using that crack shot. They're going to take on that polar bear and putting it to good use almost immediately. Look at that hunting dogs going into that market ASAP. This off to a nice start here. We'll follow his explore around in just a moment. But yes, as I was saying, Hazza very well practiced and very ready for this tournament. And could well take home that 3rd place prize. Was hoping to be in the grand finals, but was eliminated. So by the looks of it, who was he beaten by? Not Kanisi, the other guy. Snow, Eric, King Eric, yes, absolutely. So that'll be fun. But let's follow his explore around here. Crackshot probably about to recharge now. Halfway across the map, does come across that 135 XP. Found a native scout as well, by the looks of it. and came across 160 XP. So just some big XP treasures, just getting out on the map, trying to find some stuff to find. Looks like, though, he will be coming across 125 wood mites, so Raphael invested in this.
Yeah, that's going to be a really nice pickup for him, and it's really, really good for him that Hazza didn't steal that either, because he totally 100% committed to getting that treasure for his house. So luckily he will be picking that up, but will be losing his Explorer maybe as a result. But you can't really complain about losing your Explorer too much when you get 125 wood.
Yeah, no, he's going to be happy about that. He's going to take a fair amount of damage here, trying to use the little trick to snare his opponent back and get away. Looks like it almost worked just there, but thankfully not too far from his base, can walk back there, and he's going to get his Explorer safe. But I'd say LordRaphael in the lead for this initial Age 1 here. They've both got, by the looks of it, text complete. The hunting dogs in. Hazza did manage to get that in very, very quickly due to that wood upgrade. But 125 wood, that's going to put him really far ahead. Can he even it up with the Explorer kill? Very low HP here. 12 hit points. No, he doesn't want to go in too close to that town center.
No, unfortunately not going to get the Explorer. But this does have to make Raphael play a little bit more carefully with how much he chooses to scout and transition to Colonial here. Looks like he's just going to head to the top side of the map, see what's up there. Is going to find another 100 wood for himself. Might not start that until later in the game. Might be too risky to start that right now. But that is going to mean that if Hazza chooses to go for any sort of forward base or anything like that, it's going to be really hard for Raphael to scout. Or actually, it's going to be really hard for him to build a trading post as well. Hazza could potentially just deny that trading post altogether. With just how low that Explorer is, so definitely in a bit of a precarious position for him, but shouldn't be the end of the world. And on that note, actually, something I've been seeing Hazza do a lot lately in sort of his casual games with Germany is he's actually been forward basing a lot, with starting with a barracks and everything, sort of counter to what Germany usually does by staying home with a stable and raiding and aging and everything. He's been actually abusing the sort of stronger DOPs that we've seen in the ESOC patch, and using them to apply a lot of pressure. And I wonder if that's what we're going to see in this game from him.
Yeah. Looks like
he is actually sitting on this TP too. He knows Raphael's going to have to go for it, and going to be checking the other TP just in case Raphael chooses to go for that one. But looks like he's probably going to be taking this one for himself as well. No, going to be heading back to his own trading post. So unfortunately for him, does not spot the TP going down. Raphael too busy with that 100 wood treasure.
Yeah.
To really bother with that really important German building, that really unimportant German building, the trading post.
Yeah,
so.
But do you think LordRaphael, he knew that Hazza, being a good player, would be looking for that Explorer? He saw that you chased him all the way back to his town centre earlier, down to really, really low hit points. So LordRaphael uses his crack shots and lets one recharge and then gets the other on the polo there, picks up that 100 wood and just waits it out. He knows he can get his trading post a bit later on when Hazza has gone home to build his one, and that's exactly what's going on here. $2 coming in from Dartigan Musk. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely could have been on his mind. But yeah, no forward villagers coming out for Hazza, so I'm going to eat my words on his newfound strategy. But we could still see some Doppelsoldners. We could still see some.
Yeah, they are stronger on EP, aren't they?
Stable going down for Raphael. They are. No, stable going down for both players, so we're not going to see anything too crazy in Colonial, most likely. Trading post is now up for Raphael. Is going to get the pass, so pretty good for him as well. Does get spotted by Hazza there, and Hazza is going to have a pretty good early advantage in this scouting here. Raphael is sort of walking along the bottom side of the map, checking the resources and the treasures that he didn't get a chance to check earlier as a result of having his Explorer forced back. Going to be going for this 80 food, and
I wonder if he has enough HP for that. That looks questionable.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be. Yeah, there's no way he gets that actually.
Oh, it's so close.
And Hazza, I think. No, I thought Hazza saw it because he was walking towards it for a moment there, but no, doesn't see it. And this means that Raphael, he's only scouted the edge of the map, like in a line, all the way down here, and everything else is all blank. These Ulans are moving into unknown territory right now.
Yeah, they don't know where they're coming across this 60 wood treasure for the first time. So quite a lot of them heading across the map, but they don't know where they're going.
Yeah, and he really has no indication of what Hazza is doing for sure, too. So this is going to be sort of the first signs of what he's doing. Hazza is coming towards the 80 food now, going to be picking that up, so that's going to be good for him. Fortunately for Raphael, is going to pick up a Vil. Unfortunately, was gathering a little bit too far away from home. But not going to be walking into any Doppelsoldners or anything crazy like that as well, so should be sitting pretty comfortable despite the disadvantages he had in the early game here.
Yeah, a couple of Hazza's Uhlans away from home here, so this fight does manage to take out. That's 3 villagers going to him, and Hazza going to lose a couple of Ulan here. He's managed to call the Minutemen. That explains why he was engaging a much larger mass of cavalry to keep them there for the Minutemen to do damage. But yes, evens this up, kills most of those cavalry, but at the expense of 3 villagers, that is quite a lot at this early portion of the game.
Yeah, really, really good pickup for Raphael. Despite how many Ulans he lost. Couple of Hazza's Ulans might be getting caught here as well. Raphael's doing a good job splitting off a couple Ulans to be cutting those off. Looks like at least one is going to drop here. Tries to juke, not going to be getting out, so...
No. LordRaphael decisively ahead here in terms of Ulan mass, really picking off these units here, going to be quite pleased with himself. And he's picked up quite a few villager kills as well, so in a good position at the moment.
Yeah, but barracks is coming up now for Hazza. No racks up yet for Raphael. Looks like he's dropping houses. No intention of dropping a racks just yet. But this could potentially mean that Hazza could train some Dops and maybe go for some sort of counter push or catch some Ulans in his base. Looks like he is actually gathering a lot of resources to age, so likely not going to do that, though it is a possibility. And this raid could hurt a lot if he doesn't manage to age before it gets in. Looks like he is probably going to manage to age before it gets in, but still going to be forced to idle a lot of villagers. And no, Raphael is not quite going to go in. They're going to respect the possibility of some Dops or units popping out.
Yeah, he saw that Rex, do you think, and didn't want to go in there?
I don't think he got in far enough to see the racks, but I think he just sort of decided it wasn't worth the risk and is just going to choose to go for the trading post instead. Knows that he'll likely be able to escape if Hazza chooses anything or chooses to send anything to defend that.
Yeah, and why not, right? This trading post is in the middle of the map. It's not near any production buildings. It's something he can siege relatively safely and you know, just see what comes for him. He can run away if anything comes near. But Hazza is going to be up to the next stage. He's gotten there sort of uncontested. Those Ulans didn't really do any damage. They didn't idle him up. So here, managed to gotten up without... you know what I'm trying to say. LordRaphael going to be going up in response. Looks like he's taken out that trading post. Now going to head on in since he knows there won't be any units since he's just aged. Going to take out these Minutemen, do some damage. It looks like we do see a couple of Minutemen, a couple of Ulans come out of the stable here, but ultimately just going to be coming in, doing a little bit of damage before those first German shipments start arriving.
Yeah, forcing a lot of idle time here too. Going to pick up another villager as well. 2 villagers actually, so that's going to be good for him. I'm going to be getting... Ooh, there's more villagers exposed. But Hazza has a shipment on the way. I don't think Raphael's going to risk going for those with a potential 9 Ulan or 3 War Wagon shipment coming.
There it is, 9 Ulans coming out. That's going to be a big deal. That's going to push up his military units here. So back even in turn, 26 to 26, and so that's good. But LordRaphael also up to the next stage, and he'll have military shipments coming out soon as well. Mirrors are fun, absolutely.
Yes.
Bit of conflict in the middle of the map, Maito. Looks like there's these lots of Ulans here. Let's take a look at text being researched. Looks like veterancy has just come in for the red one, for the red Ulan here. So Hazza, as a result of being up sooner, is able to get that tech in. And if this fight were to happen, it would definitely swing in his favor. Looks like though it will not be happening just yet. Does manage to take out that explorer. I think LordRaphael, he knows that these. Does he know that they're veteran? I think he's got his veterancy in as well. And looks like there's a bunch of skirms going to be coming in and reinforcing as well as a couple of Ulans from that shipment.
Yeah, and Hazza's not splitting off the snared Ulans. He's going to be losing a few here. Actually, maybe he wants to turn it. There's an 8 Ulan shipment on the way. And Raphael actually sent skirms instead of Ulans here, so he's actually going to be at a disadvantage maybe as soon as these Ulans actually engage.
Yeah.
Once the smoke clears, this could be really good for Hazza.
Once this blue line of cavalry goes away, there's going to be nothing here to protect these skirmishers. The red Ulan just going to plow through straight on top of the skirmishers. Thankfully, a couple of Minutemen are going to take that blow here. Only a few Ulans left, and Oh, that's a close one. Just not quite enough red Uhlans to move on towards the skirmishers. That blue Ulan line surviving just long enough, but those skirmishers were precariously placed against all that cavalry.
Yeah, that was a really really good Minutemen call from LordRaphael. Good foresight on the potential sort of Ulan mass from Hazza there. Those Minutemen provided just enough damage onto those Ulans to sort of prevent the front line from melting super fast, and then having a large... It sort of whittled down the mass that was left after his Ulans died, and then as a result, Hazza actually wasn't able to commit to cleaning up those skirmishers.
Yeah, wasn't able to finish it up there. These 3 Uhlans coming in from Hazza, keeping on top of those raids, wants to keep that pressure up, but unfortunately coming across a bunch of blue units here. These Uhlans going to catch up, and looks like they manages to split one off, so isn't going to be losing all of them, and Hazza hopefully will be able to get on out of here for his sake with these 2 Uhlans. He is farther behind in pop. The skirmishers coming around the other side of the native village, though, a nice flank, going to meet them in the middle, and looks like that is going to be the end of these 2 Uhlans.
Yeah, really, really strong position from Raphael here. Yeah, and Hazza's just going to call GG. He knows that after losing all of those Ulans and all of his, being down villagers and everything like that, he's going to have a really hard time to sort of get back into the game.
Yeah, look at that military lead, right? 50 units to 28, and that's just been the story of this game. LordRaphael just melting away all of the units he sees. Came into the base earlier, we saw that fight where he managed to get a nice couple of villager kills and kills off all of the units that Hazza had in his base here, and just those couple of Uhlans here, couple of Uhlans there, the ones we saw here, and as a result, just ends up running out of units, just not having enough here. He knows that 50 is definitely greater than 28.
50 is indeed more than 28.
Yes, I don't think he can see those numbers, but he probably feels it. Looks like we're going to be fixing something by the... it really sucks, apparently. Do you want to hop out and watch on Discord, then? Because you're the...
Yeah, maybe.
Whereas we're all in fairly close proximity. You're all the way over in Canada.
Yeah, I will, I'll do that. That might be part of the problem for sure. Okay, so I believe the next map is going to be High Plains. High Plains is kind of an interesting interesting map for these 2 players. Hazza's been playing a lot of Spain this tournament, and Raphael's also played a decent amount of Portuguese this tournament, but Raphael's actually not been super successful on Portuguese, and both of those civs are maps that could go for ATP. So they're definitely both good options on this map. We'll have to see which civs they choose to go for. I would not be surprised to see Hazza pick Spain, but it is actually Raphael's first pick. So Hazza does have the counter pick. We'll have to see if Raphael chooses to go for Portuguese. I feel like he probably won't, just given how it hasn't worked out for him so far this tournament.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what he'll be picking instead. He could pick something like British. This map does have a lot of resources, so keep an eye out for that. British are also pretty strong at the moment.
That is true, but in this tournament format, I always feel like you're rewarded more for saving your Dutch and saving your British for those maps that don't have trading posts. You sort of want to be keeping them up your sleeve, so to speak. But we are
That's
getting
true.
closer to the reset.
The next map, though, is a non-trading post map, so that might be something they want to hold on to until the next game. So that is a good point. British, however, it's a toss-up, right? British are pretty strong on non-TP maps, but they're also strong on maps that have lots of resources, so...
Yeah, you might want to just follow the momentum through, right? The score's 1-1. If he can get a second point on the board here, he'll pull ahead, and that's going to be pretty good for their confidence. It's always going to keep you in a good state of mind. That's something you want to be in. Ottoman coming out from LordRaphael.
Ottomans is a good pick here. Lots of trading posts. Difficult to sort of counter easily as well. That's a nice pick. Not sure how successful Raphael's autos has been.
Bringing up the stats here, we've got... 64% win rate overall in his tournament games, but with Ottoman in particular, a bit higher, 67%. So a civ that he is definitely effective with, and something he wants to pull out on this map. So Hazza, it is your turn to respond, and I really like this Otto pick because, I've been seeing quite a lot of Spain. You mentioned Portugal earlier, those ATP civs. Portugal going to come out here, so this is something Hazza will want to play as well. I wonder if Ottoman can punish that, be really aggressive, or have that really nice fortress timing to punish the ATP players and just make that High Plains, all these trading posts, the ATP, not quite as effective. Is that what you think, or are you feeling a different reason for the Otto pick?
Possibly, but It's definitely a good pick on this map because of the trading posts, and it's definitely very hard to go for an ATP sort of style of build against Otto because they grab so many trading posts so fast. But I wonder if Hazza's not even intending maybe to go for ATP here. You have to remember Portuguese do get 2 town centers, 3 town centers as soon as they hit Fortress. So any sort of aggressive play by a civ like Ottomans is going to be pretty tough to get away with against Portugal. So. And there's a lot of resources on this map too, so he can sit in his base for a long time with colonial militia and stuff like that.
Absolutely right. There's not just ATP as an option. Certainly lots of other things he can do. Let's get into this game. Game number 3 in this best of 7 series. The score is currently 1-1. Whoever takes this game will pull ahead. The map will be High Plains. You see High Plains, you see all of the trading posts, you think to yourself, ATP. And Hazza is playing the Portuguese. I'm sure it's in his deck. I'm sure it's on his mind. But he is up against the Ottomans. We'll be starting with them. They'll be spawning in the north of the map in the colour red. Playing as indeed the LordRaphael. Here he is. 3 wood crate start. Going to be getting that trading post ASAP. I wonder if Germany will do anything about that. Pardon me, if Portugal will do anything about that. He's not likely to go for a trading post of his own, so he could use that Explorer just to go straight to the Middle Sea if he can find that Ottoman Explorer and do some damage. Something to consider. Equally, though, there are treasures on this map and might want to make use of that time instead. It's not like he's Spain with a War Dog or something like that, but here he is. We'll keep an eye on that Explorer and where he sort of heads off to. No treasures in the immediate vicinity. Ottoman, though, he is going to be heading straight towards the trading post. We can tell by this peculiar angle, and we both know sort of which one. Both players will know which one he's going for. There's that particular trading post on this map where if you build it, you get that pass right away, which is going to be really beneficial. Is that look how close they are? Going to come across 60 food. I wonder if this is what's going to happen.
Oh, and Raphael might actually delay that trading post just a little bit to actually steal this treasure. I think Hazza went for that.
Oh, baby. Can he just go into hand combat and just, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really nice.
He's actually, like, Raphael did get that 60 food, but is it going to be worth it? Like, he's going to take a lot of damage here. He's actually maybe not even going to get the trading post down in time to get the pass with the snare going through here.
Yeah, he spent time getting the food, spent time killing the wolf. He spent time, he's, being snared, as you said. Like, he can't get there in time. He's going to go down, he's going to miss the pass, and arguably 130 XP or whatever it is probably worth more than 60 food.
Is that a villager walking across the map towards the trading post?
It is! Oh my goodness, he's trying to get it up in time for that pass, but it's gonna... Oh no, this is going so horribly wrong! I really like the idea, though, trying to make sure he gets that pass of XP, but by the looks of it, isn't gonna go up. Equally, though, Maito, he might have thought, I'm not gonna get this trading post up. This explorer's gonna be killed. I might not be able to finish it. I'm gonna need the villager to clean this up and finish the structure for me. Turns out, though, he does get it up, but misses the batch of XP.
Yeah, the villager is gonna manage to get his explorer away as a result of sending that villager, so it is still helping him. But that is gonna delay his age up by quite a bit. He's got his 3 vills is not gonna come in for a while yet. 10% of your boom right there. The villager BM does represent almost 10% of his economy. It represents more than 10% of his economy at the moment.
Dear,
so
yeah.
This is a huge disadvantage.
He has, though, managed, Maito,
right at the gate.
gotten himself the ability... Like, his Explorer's quite high on HP, right? We would have been expecting... Oh, pardon me. No, that's the Red Explorer. He's I was going to say that the villager had bought him a lot of HP, and basically the explorer can continue scouting. He's not going to have to walk all the way back to his base to be protected, which probably would have happened, and the explorer would have died on the way home. The villager stopped that from happening. So we've got this intangible asset of being able to scout and potentially get some treasures.
Yeah, and it might have been a necessary evil. Like, it sucks if you have to send a villager and delay your age up like that, but... it does keep the explorer alive, and imagine if that explorer had died. He would have had to maybe construct TPs with villagers in transition. Hazza could have suddenly gone for advanced trading post or something like that. I don't actually know if he sent the shipment yet. It looks like he has sent a shipment.
He has. Hazza's gone for the advanced trading post.
Yeah, if he'd managed to kill that explorer, this ATP could have paid off huge. Otto could have been stuck with like 1 trading post, maybe 2 trading post tops, to Portuguese's 3 TPs on top of having a delayed age up. It would have been really, really bad. So, kind of something that Raphael had to do. And I wonder if the villager steals the TP. feels so bad to be the Otto player right now. This is such an awkward position for him. And we saw at the very beginning of the game that Hazza chose to path his explorer directly towards the top side of the map, towards those 2 trading posts that people like to go for on this map for that first pass. I wonder if it was his intention all along to find the explorer and apply that pressure on as early as possible and enable this ATP play. Like, it looks like he's going to get away with 3 trading posts to Otto's 2 TPs, and Stagecoach is not going to be something Otto's going to want to grab when Portuguese has 3 TPs, so...
Yeah, but equally, look, but pardon me, I was casting earlier, and I thought, why is Miso talking over me? I had my mic muted, so that was a shame. But, yeah, but, okay, so he's managed, he's not going to be getting Stagecoach. Ottoman, that's not something he's going to be wanting to be doing, as you said, but he has got 2 trading posts on the route, which really devalues the ATP in a way. So, advanced trading posts from Hazza not going to be as effective because Ottoman's got a couple on this route already. Looks like Portuguese player Hazza here now just gotten up to the next stage. 400 wood on the floor, and that town centre going to be popped down right next to the existing one. Looks like he's got some good, done some decent herding. He's got a hunt in his base here, and he's going to be playing defensively with a very close town centre.
Yeah, for sure. And looking back at the Ottoman base, looks like he has decided to play this in H2. Does have a military building going up. Will be looking to maybe apply some pressure onto those TPs. But is this going to be fast enough? Like, it seems like he's not going to be able to take down these TPs very easily. They have almost 4,000 hit points with 25 ranged attack. Yeah, it's going to be really challenging for him to do anything on those. If he wants to walk towards Hazza's base from the position of this barracks, he's going to walk through the vision of these trading posts, so Hazza's going to have plenty of warning on top of not being able to pressure villagers very easily underneath these 2 town centers. It's looking like a really tough position for Raphael, and we're not even 6 minutes into the game yet.
Yeah, Hazza now just coming into the base, sees 700 wood on the floor, so knows his opponent isn't going to be fast fortering, has probably seen that barracks as well, so knows what's coming. Looks like Hussar's about to pop for this player. Yes. And
the blue Portuguese player, Hazza54321.
There they are. 4 Hussars do come out here, so can head on over to the trading post. Well, it looks like they may be used to defend off these Janissaries. I would be afraid. Okay, more Janissaries coming out now. Okay, they're actually going to leave the trading post. I suppose Janissaries are quite strong against them and move straight into the base and do some damage here. Artillery Foundry going up, so going to be seeing some Abyss guns being added in with these Janissaries, this Ottoman colonial. But as you mentioned, quite sort of, not super fast. But if he can push this route and start cleaning up all of these trading posts and building them himself, could work out just fine.
Yeah, for sure. If he does manage to pick up some of these trading posts, it could definitely help him sort of keep up economically. Now, I guess what we have to wonder is what the plan is after that. Does he stay in H2 and try to deny Hazza the map and that sort of thing? Or does he follow Hazza up to fortress himself? Grenadiers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's going to supply a lot of siege pressure. So possibly for the trading posts. I think, though, the Janissary is probably able to do that on his own. But more likely, maybe he'll come in and start killing off the town centres and adding damage in that way. He's seen cavalry come out from his opponent, so it's going to be...
It could. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there, but it could be good for a timing push if those Grenadiers stay hidden. It looks like he only got 2 out. They're going to be going straight towards the trading post to try and take that down. So Hazza is going to know that they're around. Might only choose to train a couple of them, and forgo training any additional ones by the looks of it.
Yeah.
But, one thing that is interesting to note about Grenadiers as opposed to other units is the siege range. A couple Jans going into hand combat with the Hussars here are going to be forcing them away from the villagers. But most unit siege range have a siege range of 8. And Advanced Trading Post gives your trading posts a range of 8 to deal with those ordinary siege units. But Grenadiers have a siege range of 12. So he could actually, if he really wanted to, after he cleans up this trading post, he can just send those Grenadiers to the bottom side of the map, potentially without even his Janissaries, and just work away at the trading post without any fear of taking damage from that ATP.
Yo, I love how close Hazza's Explorer is there. That trading post goes down. He thought perhaps the army will move on and I'll just waltz in there and rebuild it. He was close.
Yeah,
he was
really
sniping for that. It's quite funny. But to your point, yeah, I think he's just added in 2 grenadiers here just for extra siege. And because he can, right? He's got the artillery foundry. He's going to make Abbas guns from that anyway. This wasn't a dedicated grenadier foundry. It's just the fact that, he happened to have a foundry and was able to add in a few before going to, I expect, we'll look back at the units in queue, the Abbas guns, which are more likely to come. Looks like these Hussars coming in, trying to find a raid. But LordRaphael, he's got a couple of Jans at home, and that's just going to be enough to stop these Hussar raids and keep these villagers working. Looks like this town centre is now going to go down, and LordRaphael going to be picking up this entire route, despite his opponent, who sent ATP. And look, the stagecoach is up as well. So Otto, if we take a look at recalculated economic unit population, it doesn't change. It doesn't take into account the trading posts. But these are roughly 4 villages each, I believe. So that's basically, he's got a very strong economy. Ottoman in a good
very
position
close
at
to
this
4
moment.
villas, yeah.
Yeah.
But
however, Hazza is up to the next stage, Moto.
Indeed, and that's going to be challenging for Otto. It looks like I don't know if he's not very close to H. Oh no, sorry, he has just clicked up to H himself. But what do you do once you get to Fortress as Otto? You have to invest in all these veteran upgrades. You have to invest in veteran Jans, veteran Abyss guns, veteran Hussars. Meanwhile, Portugal's sitting there on 3 town centers on high plains with all these giant bison hunts, and they're training goons and Cassadors, and they can just run your army in circles for days with how fast Cassadors are compared to other skirmishers. And
Yeah.
you have to wonder, like, is the Ottoman army going to compete? Also, 2 additional grenadiers coming out here just for the PM. Dropping into stagger mode there to try and avoid some of that area damage.
Yeah. They're doing good damage there. It's surprising. I love it when a grenadier kills a unit. They go flying.
They're actually pretty effective against the Cassadors, since Cassadors don't have a lot of hit points, and they have high ranged resistance to compensate for that, but Grenadiers, of course, do siege damage, so working out for Raphael in a way that maybe we hadn't anticipated. So that's definitely nice for him. But yeah, moving forward, it's still going to be very awkward for Ottoman. Maybe a giant Grenadier mass could surprise us. Who knows?
Yeah. I thought he was just going to add a few in and switch to Abbas guns. That's what people usually do. And could still well be the case.
Abbas guns now.
He is now, certainly up to the next stage. He's got to do that at some point. They're clearly the better unit. But I think whilst he was getting the resources together to age, just had a few grenadiers for the siege, trying to claim that whole route. And he has done so, which shows it's going to, very effective. He's going to have quite a nice economy. The thing is, though, it's going to sort of taper off. He can't add in any more trading posts. He's already built them all. Whereas the Portuguese player here, look, he's got all 3 town centres up, as is the way with Portugal. That is, by the looks... No, it's an artillery foundry going up in the back there. Yeah.
Okay, and that's gonna... Well, actually, I don't know how I feel about the artillery foundry here. I guess it's gonna allow him to siege some of these trading posts more effectively, and, Otto does go for an infantry-heavy mass, but when you think about Abyss guns, you gotta remember that they do siege damage, and their 75% resistance that organ guns and other cannons have is not going to be an issue for Abyss guns. We could potentially just walk in and kill those very easily. So Hazza's going to have to be really, really careful with this artillery foundry moving forward here.
Just taking a quick look at the text being complete here. Looks like they've all got the market upgrades in. Hunting dogs, steel traps, millet system in as well. What is the Ottoman settler count on? Let's take a look at his economic units here. He's got 23 villages. So his opponent almost got twice as many villages. Remember, though, he does have those trading posts working away for him. But millet system, I think, about to come in. No, he's going to need the other upgrade, the one that allows you to expand your settler limit. That's about to come into play. But looks like Hazza, he's managed to get a few units out. Let's switch back to shipment sent here. Looks like as a result of that 1,000 wood and the 1,000 food here, managed to get a bunch of goons out. His army's massing up and he's prepared to start contesting this trader out in the middle here. A little bit of a skirmish off in the middle of the map. The Falconet's now joining the fray, and the Abbas guns scaring away the blue army here. He's not going to take out that trading post at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, it looks like Raphael's game plan is actually just abuse the Falconets early on and how difficult it is for Portugal to deal with that, since they don't have falconets of their own. And I wonder if the Foundry was actually in anticipation of this. Maybe one Culverin in queue. No cannons in queue yet, but he could potentially train a Culverin just to deal with this. But yeah, it is going to be challenging for him actually to get onto these falconets and deal with them. And organ guns, of course, are not going to be effective against them at all either. Grenadiers paying off huge so far this game.
Yeah, God, they're doing so much damage. Just a couple of great... Imagine if everyone just has an artillery foundry on the board. You can add these units in, and they're not actually too bad, maybe, for drawn-out long colonial play. Obviously, we're both in the Fortress Age now. Falconets coming in strong on those Castadors. Going to be able to do some strong damage. Minutemen, though, able to do very strong damage versus the Falconets. Looks like he was just distracting the units away, getting some damage here. Thankfully, the Minutemen don't give XP, so they are able to just be sacrificed off there, dealing damage to the Falconets. Weren't able to do quite as much damage as I thought, since, of course, Minutemen have a bonus versus siege units, and I expect Falconets probably are counted as siege units there. Looks like this is something is very tough to deal with. I will spank you, doubling a donation again, $16. I'm now in the square root of myself. Anyone want to double again? Mamelukes coming out, Maito. This is strong. This is how you deal with Falconets.
Yeah, you just ship the tankiest unit and right-click. So that they are going to be going down.
Yeah, thankfully, though, there's a few more Janissaries being added in. It looks like they're going to go into hand combat. Has managed now to take out both the Falconets here, and the Blue Army going to try and get out of there with, by the looks of it, 3 Mamelukes still in play. Castador's going to be doing some damage to the Janissaries. Looks like he's just trying to focus down the Mams. These are soaking up a lot of damage here and running these Janissaries ragged. They're having to walk around in hand combat. Looks like he's going to try and get away. Those Castadors too much for these Janissaries. Does have Abbas guns of his own, but they're starting to dwindle out. But that's what it looks like, though. Villagers, he's found all of these up here, and that town centre is no longer there to protect them. Going to scare away about literally half of, or perhaps not half. He's now got 61 villagers, does Hazza, but certainly a lot of villagers.
Yeah, it might even be able to pick up this house for his troubles. And Hazza's, if he wants food, he's going to have to walk all the way to the middle of the map, or potentially even the other side of the map if he wants something unexposed. And it looks like, I guess, the game plan for Raphael following the loss of these cannons is just going to be to abuse the fact that Abyss guns are still really difficult to deal with, especially for Portugal, with those Castadors not having the same sort of survivability as other skirmishers against the Abyss guns. But Janissary is getting caught here.
Yeah, it does pick them up. That's going to be a nice pick up there. And currently, Reds is ahead on military, but not quite so much. So this is exactly what Hazza needs to pick to catch up. Looks like, though, Abyss guns do take a volley at these Dragoons. Explorer does go down. A little bit of conflict in the middle of the map. Thankfully, though, look at this, like these units still on the prowl. Blue going to finish up this house, as you mentioned earlier, with these grenadiers. Hasn't spotted, though, a few villagers to the north on this coin mine. Hazza adding in an outpost just for a garrison there, because, you know, it's quite dangerous up there. But villagers are going to stay there undetected for the time being.
Yeah, and, you know, I was sort of questioning the Ottoman position earlier in this game, but at the moment it's actually looking pretty good. Hazza seems to have remembered that he constructed that artillery foundry, does have organ guns in queue now, so that looks like that might be his answer to Abyss guns. But again, like, how effective of a counter to Abyss guns are the organs really going to be with that siege damage?
Yeah, especially when he can...
really careful with how he uses them.
Yeah, I mean, Falconets are even quite vulnerable to Abyss guns, you know, since, of course, the Abyss guns do that ranged siege damage that negates the ranged resistor. But organ guns going to fare even worse, since, of course, they don't do all their damage immediately. It takes them a couple of shots to get it out. We're going to see how that comes out now, but... if the Castadors providing covering fire, might be able to get a few damage. Look at that. Yeah, the range of the organ guns coming into play here is greater than the Abyss, so he does have that going for him. One Mameluke coming around the back, but is going to be eliminated there. Looks like, though, for the time being, LordRaphael cannot push in here, and Hazza going to be able to keep on top. His economy, these villagers here on the food and on the coin are going to be safe for now due to the presence of this army. Those organ guns frightening away those Abyss guns.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be working out for him for now. Abyss gun count is growing, though. And the larger that massive Abyss guns gets, the harder it's going to be to position around them. Like, he could potentially get one volley off with these organ guns on those Abyss guns, and then just lose all of them to one volley, so... it's going to be challenging. But with the cliffs and the choke points between these native posts and everything like that, and the trees and stuff like that, maybe it's going to be difficult for the Abyss guns to actually reach the artillery. Looked like he might have wanted to try and walk up and get a volley there, but the trees sort of making him second guess that decision. Grenadiers raiding.
Grenadier raid. When you see a Grenadier raid, not very often. They do surprising damage, I suppose. They negate. Well, actually, there is no ranged resist on villagers, but they have a lot of ranged resist themselves. So these dragoons going to take a long time to clean this up. Looks like though a fort wagon will be arriving for Hazza, going to secure the resources with this. Going to take this long game. Going to try and slam that down on a high resource pile and just make sure that all of these villages he's got can just continue gathering and push him further and further ahead.
Yeah, definitely going to help secure these resources for the next few minutes here. But you got to wonder, what do you do about the fort once Raphael has constructed more grenadiers to deal with them?
Yes.
I'm just kidding. Is that a third town center going down?
No, over here we have a... Oh, yeah, second TC for the Ottoman, by the looks of it, has been constructed.
Sorry, yeah, second town center.
Looks like we missed that, but yes, he has gotten that up. And he's got millet system out, so, it's going to be pumping out villagers. Let's take a look at his... firstly, though, we're going to see this fort. He looks like he's just going to siege it. It's still in construction. Might go down.
Guns.
Oh, my... Yeah, the organ...
He do manage to pick up one organ before backing off, but now that the fort is down, the organs are exposed, the villagers are exposed, the Ottoman army is moving forward, and this has got to hurt Hazza a lot. He can't afford to move these villagers. That's almost 50 vills that would be idle if he was forced to move.
Yeah.
Fortunately, not forced to do that just yet.
Yeah, Hazza going to back off for the time being.
He did lose all of his whatchamacallits. Dragoons and falconets.
Oh wow!
Falconets.
Wow, where did they come from? What the hell? He sent 1,000 coin earlier, so he was able to fund a lot of falcons with that money. He's going to take out a few villages.
For Mamelukes behind this, so he's going to be forcing these units off. Hazza doesn't have any resources left. Doesn't have any dragoons left. Not going to be able to train a lot of dragoons with the resources he has left, and with all these villagers being idled. So Mamelukes are going to be on the way. They're going to do a lot of work against this army potentially. But Hazza's actually going up to industrial now.
Oh wow!
I don't
really?
know if he has any. I don't know if he has any good military shipments in industrial, but okay, just 2 heavy cannons and 5 organ guns. I don't know if that's going to be enough actually against Mameluke Falcon Janissaries with just Cassadors. This could be really good for Ottomans in the next couple minutes here once those Mamelukes arrive.
Yeah, it definitely, he's got this big Falk mass, and behind it with the Mamelukes coming, if they do come, it's going to be such a power spike, and with his opponent going up to the industrial age, he's not making military units, it's going to be very, very tough. It looks like, though, he's being granted some time. He may get away with it. He's gotten up to the industrial age, his villagers are still gathering. Well, these ones are sort of moving, they've run out of gathering. God, I wonder how different this game would be if he'd managed to get that fort up. He's still be in control of all these hunts over here, this coin mine. He might be able to contest the trading post nearby if that fort was up, and he's got this coin mine where this town centre is going up behind it. It's such a shame Hazza didn't manage to get the fort up. It would be really nice to see some forts being used. Can he get a volley on these Cassadors? Yes, he can. Oh, big damage coming in, and this is going to be go time. Looks like those falconets now coming in, now going to do lots of damage. And look at all these Janissaries and the Abyss guns here, trying to quickly gather up the coin from the tycoon politician that he went up with, and see if he can make use of that. But there are those Mamelukes you were talking about. This is the big power spike. This can be really, really difficult for Hazza to deal with. He's going to need that industrial age shipment to stay in the game here.
Yeah, he does have some dragoons out now, but is it enough? The Janissaries aren't here to help the Mamelukes. There are Abyss guns, but looks like, yeah, he's going to be...
There they are.
Off there.
2 heavy cannons. This is exactly what he needs. Can he get a volley on the Abyss guns? Boom! He does. It wasn't quite as effective as I was hoping. A heavy cannon, though, hasn't taken too much damage, so thankfully those Abyss guns aren't able to get the damage on. They were too afraid, so they decided to run. Looks like, though, the heavy cannons is going to be enough. LordRaphael looks like he's backing out of this one, wants to regroup, wants to get everything together. Those 2 heavy cannons looking quite threatening here. But Hazza, though, although this fight is over, look at all the hunt. It's on the front of his base where LordRaphael is going to be. If he wants to gather there, it could be a little bit difficult. Does have the Explorer. I'd like to see that come down later since it has now got the crack shot ability, and that's going to be really, really strong against Mamelukes.
Yeah, and he has sort of identified that the Vills are gathering up here, and with culverins coming up behind this from Raphael, pushing into this base here, he's just going to do a flyby, maybe deal some damage, kill a couple houses, get out, wait for those culverins to arrive, and then contest the heavy cannons.
Yeah, currently here, looking at a big mass of Janissaries, 53 Janissaries, 4 Falconets, 13 Abbas guns, and 4 Mamelukes here as well. His opponent, 17 Cassadors, 23 Goons, so fairly even, but going to be difficult to deal with all those Janissaries with only a small number of Cassadors. He does have the Falconet, sorry, the 2 heavy cannons though, so that is something to consider. Let's switch back to shipments sent. What we're looking at on the board right now, though, LordRaphael making the most of his army, just destroying all of the things on the outskirts.
Yeah, lots of Vills going down. Unfortunately, Hazza not identifying that those villagers were still there, not moving them away in time. But on the other side, looks like he's going to be catching the Abyss guns off guard, going to be getting a few kills here. But culverins are out. There's 3 of them. Are they too exposed to the goons?
They might be. Equally, though, they do take out a heavy cannon. The goons going in now. They can go into hand combat and take them out, or just attack them at range. They're very close by. 4 or 5 Falconets. They're going to be doing heavy damage versus... They're firing at the goons, though. So thankfully, these Cassadors not taking damage.
No, it's not up. It's down. But this is such a difficult position for Portugal now that the heavy cannons are down.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have anything behind this. Like, how is he ever going to kill this mass of Jans and Falks?
Yeah, and
he's shipping factories. He's transitioning to mills. He's lost his 3rd town center. He's lost his 2nd town center. It looks like he built. I guess he built the town center on the bottom half of the map, but he's really going to be struggling to mass enough units behind this to really deal with this Ottoman army.
Yeah, and you can see how many vills this extra town centre has supplied, so starting to stack up. Let's take a look at text complete and see what if he's got these Ottoman upgrades upcoming in. He's managed to get the Galata Tower district, so I think he's got 50 villager population, and he's got millet system in as well. Oh no, he's got Coprula Vizier, so that, pardon me for however that's pronounced, but villager train speed is definitely up there now for Ottoman. And he's got this whole trading route as well. The economy's going to be at least as good as Portugal's, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Or however, there are factories.
Looks like there are factories, but how much do the factories matter when you don't have a lot of income to begin with these mills going up? He does have a lot of Dragoons now, potentially going to be shipping the upgrade for those Dragoons, which could be very difficult for Ottoman to deal with. But if he can't deal with the Falconets soon, he could potentially lose most of his base on the front here.
Yeah, he's just going to pummel away. He's got a bunch of Falconets here, and these outlying houses just dropping quite quickly. Hazza's population soon going to be a problem. 129 out of 130 there, whilst his opponents, he's got all 200 pop. Not quite maxed out, but he can.
And attacking as well for Raphael, so...
Oh, wow.
These Abyss guns and cannons are going to be very difficult to kill.
Yeah, let's take a look at the cannon stats. 115 health, 200 hit points. Sorry, 115 damage and 200 hit points. Looks like the Abyss guns on the front here going to come out and be attacked by the Dragoons. Janissaries coming in, going to repel these away. He's okay at the moment. He's just taking damage. He's just like taking a beating on the front. Thankfully, though, the soft underbelly that is the factory and these 3 mills is on the back, safe and sound. But for how much longer?
Safe and sound for the moment. Yeah, it's going to be only a matter of time before the Ottoman army gets to push in there. And once they're in there, he's going to see the factory. He's going to work his way onto the factory with those Falconets. And I don't know what Hazza can really do about it. He's losing buildings left and right. He does have a lot of Dragoons now, but LordRaphael is doing a really good job of sort of zoning him away from these Falconets, not letting the Dragoons walk up anywhere near them to take shots at those. So
yeah, not letting him in here. What a great third game, though, the score being 1-1. Stable does go down. He's got a second one, but just all of these buildings bleeding out. It's now on Hazza to do something about this. But look how big that military lead is. 137 units to 45 population. It's just looking so difficult to deal with. If he can get in there, if he can kill those Falconets, he could even this up. Does take one out, but takes a little bit of a punishing on the retreat. Trying to just get in there, but LordRaphael not going to let him do it for free. The Abyss guns being controlled very effectively. Looks like now, though, the villagers are going to start taking damage. Another stable going up in the back here. Oh, this is looking tough. 5 organ guns, though, coming out. This is not quite the same as 2 heavy cannons, but this is some artillery. This could even it up for him. This is what he needs. A powerful industrial age shipment.
Yeah, it's gonna give him a better chance of contesting the range of these Abus guns and falconets for sure. But again, just he doesn't have a lot of resources left. He's falling behind in economic unit population slowly over time if you consider just how valuable those trading posts are. And Raphael's now up to industrial age on his own now. Looks like falconets are gonna drop.
Yeah.
Only one goes down.
Yeah, and that last organ gun gonna be short work, gonna be made of that. GG coming out
That's
here.
GG.
Just before he got up to the industrial age. But that is going to be game number 3. The score is now 2-1 to Hazza, all the way to the industrial age. 3 very, very long games. This is 5 TP maps are not very fun to play on, says Hazza.
They're certainly fun to watch, though. And Hazza did a good job in the early game of sort of establishing that advantage on that TP line. But Raphael, didn't panic, didn't right-click his opponent's town center or anything like that. Just trained a couple of Janissaries, added a couple of Grens for the siege. Took back that TP line, slow and methodical, and then followed Hazza up to Fortress, and then abused the fact that Portugal doesn't have a good answer to siege units and siege damage on those Abus guns and the falconets and stuff like that. And really nicely played by him. And maybe Hazza would have been all right if he'd managed to defend that fort. Unfortunately, he decided to start aging at the same moment that he placed that fort. Potentially could have had a lot more units available to help defend that. So maybe a little bit of a misplay by him there, but very good on Raphael for punishing that sort of playstyle from Hazza.
Yeah, trying to sneak in a fort, being very greedy, trying to get that up. Certainly would have helped a lot, and I wonder where the game could have gone. If he'd managed to have that fort, certainly could have contested these trading posts, as you'd mentioned, and this, would have access still to hunts. There's one over here. He had, resources in the back. Perhaps that would have helped him stay off mills for longer and stay in the game a bit longer. In the very early game, as you mentioned, lots of trading post action. He tried with the ATP to contest the route, and if he managed to hang on to a few, that could have been really effective. But Ottoman, just more powerful than they would otherwise be on this map, right? They just have more trading posts, more resource income. They could just keep going a bit longer, and it just felt like there was always more Ottoman units. There was always something difficult to deal with, Abus guns, falconets, Mamelukes, something like that, and just eventually leading to a LordRaphael victory here. So Hazza won that very first game, but LordRaphael now pulling ahead. This is game number 3 over. We're now going into game number 4. Let's take a quick look at the graphs before we go into the next game. But I am super hyped. This is an excellent series, Mighty. We've had 3 really, really nice games. That second one maybe not quite as good as the other 2. But honestly, these 2 players I could have seen in the final.
Yeah, it's definitely been very exciting. Both players definitely seem to be trying to win. Sometimes in these third-place matches, you have to wonder just how motivated they are to play. But putting on a good show for sure. And, picking some civs that they're not necessarily super comfortable with and proving that, at least in the case of Raphael, that they can still pull them off regardless. So I think the next map, moving out into game number 4 here, is Alaska. So we're going to have another non-trading post map, potentially another aggressive game with just the size of the map and the number of resources in your base. We could see maybe something like Russia or Aztec. I know Raphael loves his Russia. Hazza plays a lot of Aztec as well. But we could also maybe see some India. India is also pretty good on this map. So I'm excited to see what matchup we get this time around.
Yes, just waiting to head on into that game now. Looks like LordRaphael has joined it. Let's take a look at this next map. Alaska coming down, a non-trading post map. Let's see what civilizations will be selected. But both players going to be selecting India here. Hazza, he's only 1 point behind, and this is a best of 7 series. So he's got a lot of room to work with here.
It certainly will be a big mental advantage for him too if he does manage to win this game.
It is true, and India is definitely one of Hazza's better civilizations here. Despite an only, just a slightly positive win rate, 55% overall, he does have 80% wins with India overall. This is a Hazza civ. This, if he's going to win a game, it's going to be here. This is a civ he's clearly very comfortable with, and can perform. So let's see how that goes. LordRaphael, on the other hand, this is actually a slightly negative win rate compared to his overall win rate. So this is not a great civ for LordRaphael. However, both players very, very strong. And, this accounts for stats from back in 2015, 2016, all of our tournaments for ESOC. So, both players could have improved tremendously with these civs since then. So, let's start. Here we are with LordRaphael in the north of the map in the colour blue, playing as, indeed, India. His opponent in the colour red on the bottom, also playing as India. The map is Alaska. Turn those graphics off, and the game will be starting momentarily. So, India Mirror. This should be interesting. There are no livestock on this map, just treasures. And I believe on this map, no, there are big treasures. There's 95 wood in the middle. That's going to be a big point of contention. Let's keep an eye on that. 110 wood, guarded by 3 cougars. Another big point of contention. Very, very valuable treasure. Looks like, though, LordRaphael is going to be heading off towards the side with his first elephant. Going to come across a native scout. Not hugely useful. However, Hazza does find the treasure, and he's standing nearby. I think LordRaphael just briefly spotted that as well. Neither the player, therefore, going to be going for it. Let's keep an eye on these. This is very, very important.
Yeah, I think getting vision of that treasure too, Raphael managed to see that there was one of Hazza's monks nearby. So he is going to be coming in to contest that. Hazza, seeing the monk, however, is going to run away. Treasures really suck in India Mirror.
Yeah,
I guess they're pretty hard to take safely. LordRaphael sort of asking for a gentleman's agreement.
He ain't gonna get one of
the treasures.
Agree to it and then do something else. Don't. He's actually serious. Brilliant.
I wonder if maybe he's not so confident in his ability to actually win the contention for these treasures. Has, on the other hand, gonna be asserting a little bit of dominance here. He wants to fight for these treasures. He's sort of sensing the weakness in Raphael's claim here, maybe.
Raphael just gonna go for it.
That being said, Raphael's just going for it.
Yeah, they're so valuable.
Around to contest it, but one monk is on the other side of the map, so he's only got one chance to steal this instead of 2. Not gonna have the extra chance.
Oh, it doesn't quite get it. Paying off for LordRaphael. Just wanted to get it over and done with. Just gonna go for that treasure. But what would have happened here if he hadn't gone for it? He just wanted to take the risk because you'd just be floating around this middle of the map all game. You wouldn't get any scouting done. You wouldn't really want it. You'd be leaving an elephant there all the time just to check your opponent isn't going for it. That's probably why I wanted the gentleman's agreement, just so you could go off and do other things on the map and otherwise play a normal game. But basically, those two treasures being so close to each other and so valuable just sort of lock one of those monks right there in the middle of the map for the whole time.
Yeah, but fortunately for him, it does pay off. He does manage to pick up the 110 wood, and that's going to speed up his age time by quite a bit. If you look at the amount of resources, he is slightly ahead in food count just because of that. Has stopped gathering wood altogether by the looks of it, and will be sending wood trickle soon, which should get him the last few resources he needs to keep keep villagers in production while he continues to gather food with the vills that he switched off because of that wood. That was a mouthful to say. But yeah, it's gonna allow him to age up probably like 10 seconds or so faster than Hazza, which could be pretty big in a mirror, especially in an Indian mirror where you like to drop down those forward aggro forts on a map like this where there's not necessarily a lot of room to drop aggro forts like that. However, Hazza spotting the forward villager potentially could look to block that aggro fort. He's almost up to 800 food. Monk is not going to be able to block the aggro fort, looks like. So
yeah, big open map, going to be tough to do that.
Yeah, good aggro position for Raphael. Tons of hunts all around that aggro fort. Right smack dab in the middle of the map. Going to be placing that, looks like, about 15 seconds before Hazza drops his own.
Yeah, but...
And Hazza dropping it very defensively at home. Knows that he's behind in age time. Knows that Raphael was there to get the better position on the aggro fort. And is going to have to be playing this a little bit differently than he maybe would have liked to play it.
Yeah, that is a shame for him, just losing that contention in the middle of the map. Yeah, he was, it was very close, but yeah, let's just say who won Age 1. Looks like LordRaphael picks up that 110 wood treasure, and as a result gets an earlier age time, and manages to just take the map control in the middle of the map, as you said, surrounded by all of these hunts and this berry bush, some wood nearby, not that that's hugely relevant, but also this other 95 wood treasure, so lots of important stuff, managing to get that up. But LordRaphael, he didn't get the 90 coin treasure. That went to Hazza, so he has managed to catch up a little bit in terms of resources as a result of that, but not as great as getting that early aggro fort down. Is also going to be going for 95 wood, so LordRaphael, he's going to be very pleased with this position. This could be difficult for Hazza to push forward. We'll see how...
Sorry. I was just going to say, I think he saw that Hazza picked up that 150 XP. I believe he had scouted the 150 XP earlier, so he knew the monks were quite a ways away and decided to go for this. Hazza's going to go for the stomp. Not going to get the stomp, so 95 wood does go over to Raphael. And that's, it's not the end of the world for Hazza. Raphael did get a really good assortment of treasures in the early game in comparison, but definitely not over by any means. It's not like India needs a lot of natural resources with that map control for a long time anyway, since their villagers don't cost food. And if you look at the, just the location of the resources, once they do run out of his base, he might not even need to walk up to that aggro fort for quite a long time. So he's still in a decent position. We'll have to see what kind of builds they choose to go for here. I know Raphael likes to go for, a few units in H2 and then sort of age up to Fortress, while his opponent sometimes, pushes his base and stuff like that. So that's a situation he's very comfortable in. Yeah,
Imperial Bureaucracy coming in for LordRaphael. Going to start with the big expensive market upgrade. Just blanket filters for Hazza. Foreign logging coming in just now as well. We'll see if Hazza deviates from that build, but likely to see something quite similar as well. Gurkha now in queue for LordRaphael. Going to be training a few colonial age units in the middle of the map here. Hazza will be following as well. Got some Gurkha in queue as well as Imperial Bureaucracy. 600 wood. Okay, this is our first deviation. Let's switch back to shipment sent. What do you make of this? A wood trickle versus a wood shipment.
Yeah, I mean, typically this matchup is played pretty slowly. Like, you see both players going for these early market upgrades and stuff like that, not really training a lot of units. So recently, a lot of people have been sending the wood trickle first as a result of that. Hazza, on the other hand, going to be sending 600 wood. That will make it easier to drop. His consulate and his stable and stuff like that. Easier to train a few units early in the game with that extra wood. But it is going to mean that Raphael will have sort of an economic advantage a couple minutes from now. And we'll have to see how that changes things. It's possible that Hazza could go for some kind of timing push on this aggro fort, maybe. We'll have to see what he chooses to send as his second card. I imagine it will probably be 300 export now that diplomatic intrigue has arrived. So he will be going for sort of the old... Ooh, wait, Sepoy popping out. Maybe he is going for some sort of timing. Is allying with the Ottoman consulate. But I wonder if maybe he won't go for the villagers. We'll have to see what he has in queue. Okay. Not using the export or anything yet. Okay. Wait. Was that 200 export that dropped? Okay, sorry. Just go on. You can continue with your thought there.
I'm going to keep it on the text being researched. We'll see if the Hussars come out, though that might be a shipment. I'm not actually certain how that works. But we'll see what he goes for. Could be some sort of timing push, as you mentioned, on the aggro forts. But that's the key deviation, right? 600 wood compared to the 300 you know where we're going with this. Mm-hmm. Let's see. So back to units in queue. Let's take a look at the military units population here. So currently, he's got his three hussars out. So actually, yes, this is on the board.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to be going for that timing push then. Maybe shipping something like 5 Sepoy next. He has Sepoy in queue. Looks like Raphael is also training Sepoy of his own, maybe sort of sniffing out the potential for this timing. So yeah, it looks like he's going to try and break this aggro fort. Maybe he sort of knows that Raphael likes to go for
There it is.
this sort of semi-FF style of play. And yeah, he's going to be pushing now. Minutemen coming from the Ottoman consulate as well, just to bolster this.
And Sawaz as well. The timing. Here we go. This is a big push coming in. This is the power spike. This is what he's been waiting for. This is why he foregone the 400 wood. And look, big, double the units. 40 units compared to 29 here. Sawaz now coming in. Let's see if they can get the snare on top of the elephants. Minutemen being called at the cut from the consulate coming out here. But it looks like they're going to be picked off very, very quickly. There's no supporting units here. Just the blue sepoy. The Gurkhas in the back. They're calling the sentries and the other ones, the irregulars from the town centre here. Going to just to try and add in a bit of extra fire. A stomp coming in. Going to look. Hazza really cleaning this up. Look at all these units just sort of being picked off. There's a few units here, a few units there. Sawaz now coming out here, but they're going to be met by hussars and some sepoy in hand combat. Gurkhas trying to focus down the red units here, I think, and Ottoman hussars of their own coming in. I wonder if LordRaphael can hold this. It looks like he's doing a reasonable job. More Gurkhas joining the fight for Hazza.
Yeah, and he's going to be forcing back these Gurkhas, but where does he go after he forces back these Gurkhas? He doesn't have a stable up. He doesn't have any more Sowars coming. He's dropping the stable now. He could try to siege this Agrafort, but I don't know if he has enough units to really get it down safely. Raphael's just going to be picking away at his army as he sieges that. Not going to let him get it for free by any means. And there's not really any villagers for him to pressure behind this Agrafort. They're all tucked away nice and safe behind that town center. So yeah, even though he got a good trade and a good fight with that army, what does he really have to show for it at the end of this?
Yeah, it's like,
4 Sowars popping out on top of the Gurkha.
Oh, that's dirty. Holy. And the sepoy coming in. They're going to try and force them away, but being distracted away from the the Agrafort. They were being used, that good siege damage that sepoys have, that musketeer units in general have, was being used to kill the Agrafort, but being used now to fight off the sepoy. The Gurkha, though, cleaned them up, and now he's pushing him off. So yes, the timing push was, it was good. He got a good fight, as you mentioned, but LordRaphael able to just sort of catch back up again with the irregulars and the sentries, and now he's forgone that early economy, and as you mentioned, hasn't managed to make anything happen.
Yeah, now on the flip side, Raphael's pushing out himself. Irregulars are going to come out with the sepoy, going to be forcing the Sowar away. But with the Gurkha mass here, he's still going to be getting a good trade under this aggro. Going to be picking off a villager too for his trouble. So this is a really good position for Raphael to be in. He's got the economic lead. He's still retained map control, and despite everything Hazza tried to do to break that position, he didn't manage to. So this is a really good situation for him to be in. We'll have to see how Hazza chooses to adapt to this. 600 coin coming up for Raphael too, so it looks like he might be trying to age up behind this now that sort of Hazza's out of steam.
Yeah, it seems like a good time to do that. You've just dealt with your opponent's army, you've just pushed them back. They're going to have to do something different, and you've got the army to deal with it if they do try and come back. So a good time to age up. We'll see if he starts saving. He is starting to stack food, and it looks like that is the macro. That is the play he'll be making. Though he's spending some of it now as well. Maybe he wants to add in just a final batch of units or something like that. Sawar running around, getting a little bit of scouting done. He's perhaps going to try and pick up these elephants. Does manage to do that. Sadly, though, they're just going to go back down again. Yes, a few more Sawars coming out, so he was adding a few more units in. 600 wood does come out for the for LordRaphael now.
Yeah, just gifting a bit of experience to Raphael, needs to help expedite those Fortress Age shipments once Raphael decides to click up. Actually, it doesn't look like Raphael's going to be going into Fortress Age just yet. The Sowar actually, that one Sowar actually diverted Raphael's units away from this, and he's going to get a huge trade off on these units.
Yeah, this is beautiful. The Sawar's doing good damage versus the Gurkha, supporting fire from the infantry in the back, and only just now LordRaphael's units getting here to do any damage. It looks like this fight, though, there are lots of blue Sawars, and once the red ones melt away, it could just turn around, but a nice pickup for the red player is now trying to get back out of here on the retreat. Thankfully, though, has more reinforcing Sawars of his own. It looks like he's going to have to take this fight. The Sawars are going to have to go head-to-head. No one's getting out of here.
Intense sepoy coming in for reinforcements from LordRaphael. And at the end of this, it looks like Hazza's still going to have the advantage. Not enough Gurkha to really deal with Hazza's Gurkha mass, but he is not going to be pushing the middle of the map or anything like that off of this push by
and
any
look
means.
at that, Hazza pulling ahead in terms of score. Actually, now just evened up as I say that. But, you know, he could still... Foreign logging is still a shipment he can send. He's 6 villages behind, and foreign logging will even that up. So he's still got that available, and he's managed to take the lead militarily. Although here, taking damage from the ranged infantry and, of course, the blockhouse. Hazza, though, going to be pleased with his position. A nice pickup and getting him back into this game.
Yeah, and that was a bit of a misplay from Raphael, sending so many units back to chase that one SOAR around. Hazza had vision of what was going on the entire time. So as soon as Raphael decided to step up and pressure that gold mine at the same time that he was committing so many units to chasing that one SOAR around his base, Hazza was like, all right, I know you don't have any units nearby. I can just commit on to this.
It was beautiful.
Kill all of your Gurkha. So gets him back into the game after sort of that disadvantageous fight early on, but still at an economic disadvantage. He has not sent the wood trickle yet. Doesn't look like he can really afford to send it.
Yeah, he just can't let up. That's the trouble, isn't it?
He can't really afford to send something slow like that right now. Looks like he sent Camel Attack now, probably going to be sending Desert Terror as his next card, just to continue buffing the strength of those camels. But with this, it looks like they're going for different compositions here. Raphael actually going for Sepoy, going into melee now with the SOAR, going to be forcing them back, but going with the Sepoy sort of Gurkha composition as opposed to the Camel Gurkha composition is going to mean that Raphael can spend his shipments on things other than upgrades for those camels, while Hazza's sort of forced to upgrade those camels. But yeah, anyway, fight going to be going down here.
Yeah, the trouble is the Sepoy. They keep scaring away the camels, and they're not really able to get on top of those Gurkha. And whilst he's running around, there's a few Zambaraks here, and obviously the ranged infantry just dishing out damage, and just not really being able to, you know, and the camels just bleeding out and just dwindling away. They're now getting a good position on top of the Gurkha, but there aren't very many left of them. Sepoys are definitely dwindling though, so equally not being able to deal with them as effectively either. They are now all dropping down, and looks like that is going to be the end of this push. Hazza going to have to get on out of here.
Yeah, not enough Gurkhas to really contest this Gurkha mass by any means. The 2 Racks is paying off huge for Raphael against Hazza's 1 Racks, but nice Redcoat raid on the gold mine down here. Going to be getting a lot of vills killed. That's going to help even up the economic unit population at the end of this fight. 1 more vill going to go down. So, okay, yeah, so only a 4 villager lead for Raphael. Not the end of the world by any means for Hazza. Might be losing all of these Redcoats in exchange for that, but that's definitely a good pickup for him. I would trade. I think I'd trade 6 Redcoats for 5 vills any day.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. And look, there's only a 2 vill difference now, and his opponent does have basically his opponent. He doesn't have his wood trickle in either, so you know, actually he's quite far ahead on terms of villages. Let's take a look at the economic here. 45. His opponent only on. Oh, LordRaphael. Oh, does it not account for?
Oh, actually, I guess Hazza never got the Ottoman settlers either.
Ah, so he's got a lot of potential.
You got to remember early on, I guess he invested all of the export into the Hussars and the Minutemen instead of the villagers. So, I guess when you consider how little he's invested into his economy compared to Raphael, he's actually in a pretty good economic position at the end of this. But again, like, the longer that this game goes, the more that map control is going to be helping Raphael and hurting Hazza. He still has resources for the moment, but it looks like he's starting to walk villagers now, you know, sort of running out of hunts in general. Might be able to move on to that right side of the map, but it's always going to be harder to deal with the right side of the map when Raphael has the position in the middle and can easily pressure the left side of the map, easily pressure his base if he ever tries to posture to defend those villagers.
Yeah, but it's still a fairly even game, despite, you know, I suppose LordRaphael's slightly ahead, and he does have the map control, but at the moment it's not hugely relevant. Foreign logging now coming in, and that's going to even up, in fact, make it in favour of Hazza's economically speaking. Though LordRaphael, quite a number of military units up here. Most of them Zambaraks, though.
The Gurkha mass is heavily in favor of Raphael now. Now with Camel Attack coming in for Raphael, these Zambaraks are just going to shred through these SOARs. And once these SOARs are down, there's not really going to be anything to contest these Gurkhas. Hazza's going to have to think about moving those villagers off of that gold mine towards somewhere else, you know, on the eastern side of the map, and that's going to take a really long time. Actually, the gold mine just runs out, and they don't really have anywhere to gather, and with the, you know, he's losing Gurkha here, doesn't have the resources to produce additional Gurkha to really contest this mass, and this is going to be a really tough position for him to really come back from. Is dropping the dock sort of to maybe deal with the map control problem. You know, he's like, if I don't have access to natural resources on land, I'll go for natural resources on water. But that is going to take a really long time to pay off.
Yeah, though there is, you know, a lot of wood still on his side of the map, so adding in fishing boats seems reasonable. In fact, both players are going to be doing that. Both players got a second dock going down as well, by the looks of it, somewhere. Yeah, red dock up the top here. Blue, those found it, and look at these docks are sort of opposite each other. Let's take a look at their decks. Is there any water potential here? Yeah, 2 caravels, a frigate in the Fortress Age as well. Looks like, though, LordRaphael does not have that same water potential, so if the caravels come out and start being relevant, that could really put a thorn in LordRaphael's side if he has to deal with warships and doesn't have access to shipments of his own. Oh, this is going to be huge for Hazza. Look at this. Oh my goodness, there's no way they're getting out of it. Sawar's coming around the side as well. This is a really big pickup. Where are they going?
Yeah, looks like he's a little bit scared of committing onto those villagers when he doesn't know where Raphael's army is. Doesn't want to like get caught with like a big army coming around behind him or something like that.
He doesn't know where they is. I see.
Yeah, and he's just dumped all of these resources into fishing boats and docks, right? He doesn't have a lot of military units coming behind this. Looks like he doesn't have any villagers on gold. Just got those villagers over to that gold mine.
LordRaphael has built a caravel. Perhaps realizes he doesn't have any any boats in his deck, and just going to build one anyway there just to contest this dock on the other side. It's got 2 garrison boats, which is going to be quite effective against, you know, that ranged attack that's coming out. Back to the land army. Looks like a few Sawars dying on the retreat. Sorry, Zambaraks dying on the retreat there. The Gurkha mass getting very large for LordRaphael.
Yeah, and the Gurkha mass is probably going to be what decides this game at the end of the day. Zambraks shred through Sowar so fast that you can't really afford to invest a lot into Sowar if your opponent has any decent massive Zambraks, which Raphael does. But, you know, he's not... Okay, I was going to say he's not that far behind in Gurkha mass, but 10 more Gurkha coming out for Raphael. So...
Almost double now. That's quite sad. But it sounds like there's a bit of an offshore... 2 caravels here. He's going to take down this dock. And there's a bit of conflict on this side of the map. This is where these Gurkha are heading. Going to take out the blue... there we are. Shipment of... no, a 3rd caravel. He's just training them for the sea presence. And this is going to... Oh, the broadside. Very effective. That damage coming down. It looks like LordRaphael has taken the sea by claiming these 3 caravels. Now going to sort of come around and push these boats back around the Alaska Ocean operation shut down.
Yeah, and this could be potentially the end of the game. Hazza does have caravels of his own out now, but not enough to really defend the water. Nor does he have enough Gurkha to really defend this push on the land. And barring some sort of miracle here, like Raphael deleting half his Gurkha, it's going to be pretty difficult to get back into this game.
Yeah, look, as you were saying, just the Sawars just bleeding out so quickly, just dropping like flies with the Zambraks on the back there. It just looks like, you know, any...
Yeah, look at the position of Hazza's villagers, too, on the western side of the map there, up at the tip of the, near the water, sort of. He's got all of his villagers on berries, Raphael's still on hunts, and even, you know, Raphael's even sort of gotta be thinking about where his villagers could be. He's probably, you know, figured out that they've got to either be on this gold mine back there, or he's, like, investing in rice paddies or gathering on berries somewhere. So after this fight sort of clears, after Hazza runs away or loses this army, Raphael's going to know exactly where to go with that army.
Yeah. This is it's looking quite dirty. There's so many. And these caravels now coming around the side.
Yeah, actually spotting the villagers.
Looks like, though, this caravel is going to clean that up there. They're taking a lot of damage. I wonder what happened if we missed something.
He might have just walked or ran past them while they were fighting with the Gurkha, and maybe Hazza got some free shots off. I'm not sure. Yeah. But yeah, again, Gurkha mass just way too much for Hazza to deal with at the moment. He does have a lot of resources in bank, though. If he manages to, you know, spend those resources and get out some more Gurkha, he does still have, you know, a good number of villagers. He has more vills than Raphael. If this game continues long enough and he manages to stabilize, he will still be in a decent position. It's just getting to that point that's going to be really challenging.
Yeah, stabilizing looks quite difficult. There's just so many blue units just walking around here. But, yeah, East India men coming in, so setting up for that fishing boom. Trying to get this castle up, trying to re-establish some sort of map presence near the water so that he can contest it a bit. But those caravels going to shut that castle down, not going to get that up for the anti-ship damage that it can supply. Thankfully, though, the villagers, you know, it does have this caravel still, so getting back to work on these berries. But look how many, it's fully saturated. You are not getting any more villagers on these berries. They're just all clouding around looking... Pardon me, we're missing the fight.
Yeah, it looks like Tiger Claw's getting cleaned up. There's actually not a lot of Zambrax left. This could actually be good for Hazza if he manages to clean up those Zambrax and maybe pop out some more Soars. He has 8 more Soars in queue. Raphael doesn't have any anti-cab in queue after these 4 Soars or Zambrax drop. This could actually be a huge swing for Hazza if those Soar pop out soon. They have popped out. They're on their way to the fight. He's going to be cleaning up these Gurkha. And
oh my goodness!
Back control over this middle portion of the map.
Yeah, the trouble is they're a little bit separated. 4 at the top here will be much easier to deal with all of them there at once. Adding in here. Remember, whilst these Sawars are taking the damage, they're soaking up 30% of it with their range resist, and you've got all of these Gurkhas in the back doing damage. So and adding these Musketeers in hand combat as well. Look, just cleaning up, forcing him back further away.
Retreating back to the caravel.
Yeah, gonna try and...
He's gonna be able to escape, looks like, via that caravel. Musketeers coming out as well, gonna be trying to force back those Soars, but that was exactly what Hazza needed to stay in this game.
Yeah, two managing to pick up kill off a bunch of Gurkhas twice now. Two separate occasions, managing to save his tournament life in this particular game. Managing to get back in it. The score very, very even, and the economy slightly ahead in favour of Hazza. Let's take a look at the sea again, though. Looks like, though, LordRaphael is winning on the ocean. This caravel, let's hope it doesn't go down for Hazza. I'm not sure how much HP it has. It's about half HP. The trouble is, though, it's gone the wrong direction. It can just be followed round. There's going to be no supporting dock fire or anything like that, but looks like LordRaphael not going to follow for the time being. Is just going to leave that caravel to basically just do nothing. You know, it can't really come back very easily at the moment, but it might be able to meet up with more boats from a red player when he manages to train some more. There is a castle up here, though, so this is going to provide some sort of ocean support. Rendering plant coming out, so really trying to up that fishing economy now, trying to get ahead in terms of a second castle coming down.
Yeah, but again, he just doesn't have any warships to defend this water economy that he keeps investing resources into. East India men and rendering plant coming through as his last 2 cards. Like, if he doesn't defend the water, that's a huge investment that's just going to go nowhere. Meanwhile, though, on the land, Gurkha mass again for Raphael is huge, and Hazza really just doesn't have a lot of Gurkha himself. He does still have a lot of Soar, but with the Zambrak mass growing on Raphael's side, it's still going to be difficult to get another trade like he got earlier.
He looks like he's...
That being said, he did force Raphael off of the coin mines and stuff on this right side of the map. Managed to grab that gold mine for himself, some of these hunts for himself as well. So, and actually training some caravels now. This game is not over by any means.
Yeah, he's back on the water. If this other caravel can survive, this is going to be huge. It looks like, though, it's just going to be taken out. There's 4 blue caravels. God, they're so expensive, boats. These 2.
Look at the land. Oh, unfortunately, still a lot of Zambrax.
God, what a drawn out, what a treat to watch. This is such a great series so far.
Yeah, very back and forth, but Soar's coming out for Raphael. That might be the nail in the coffin. There are no Zambrax here, only a handful of redcoats, and about almost 12 or 13 Soars from Raphael. This might be the end of the game after these units get cleared up. He knows where the villagers are after this army is gone, and that might be all she wrote once those villagers go down. That will put Hazza at almost a 20 villager deficit, but Raphael, yeah, he is going to head towards those villagers, trying to throw up a castle now get those villagers to safety. But even if that castle were to somehow magically instantly go up right now, those villagers would... It's only a matter of time until they die, right?
Yeah,
so
look,
this is...
Gonna clean them up here. Villagers going down. GG coming out from Hazza. And that will be putting game number 3. Victory number 3 on the board for LordRaphael. Lost the first game, pulling ahead all the way up to the third game now. Oh god, I'm just saying nonsense. It's just what is coming out of my mouth. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to communicate that LordRaphael won the game. It was a very long game, a very drawn out game, and a very interesting game with a couple of, we saw that early push from Hazza, tried to make something happen, but LordRaphael, very prepared, was able to deal with that, didn't panic, was able to get out the Minutemen from the Ottoman consulate. They arrived at that Agra fort. We saw the irregulars and the sentries come out from the town centre at home, managed to get the Ottoman hussars from the consulate, and just dealt with that push very effectively. Hazza wasn't able to make anything of it. Did get a few good trades early on because of it, but wasn't able to ultimately take out that Agra fort like he was hoping for. And then moving into the longer game, he just had a better economy. LordRaphael, more villagers, more income. But Hazza putting up a good fight, manages to even that out. Constant raiding pressure, manages to get that villager lead at some point as well. But ultimately, LordRaphael staying ahead on military as well. This map control coming into play, and then both players going onto the ocean. LordRaphael winning that as well. Any thoughts to add?
No, it's just pretty solid play from Raphael, always maintaining the Gurkha advantage the entire game, even when he lost all of his Gurkha 2 or 3 times to those big Soar transitions and stuff like that, still investing a lot into those Gurkha, and those Gurkha came out huge for him in more than a couple fights, so good on him for the solid play, keeping hold of that map control, and eventually even winning on water to really close out the game. Yeah. So good on him.
Look how even this economic collection was throughout the course of the game. Actually, Hazza managing to catch up, and at the very end there, I think, is actually slightly ahead. It's hard to know, but at that point, he was quite far behind on military. But, just a very even game in terms of resources gathered. Let's take a look at the military unit population here. Very even, but sort of from the mid-game onwards, you can see Raphael just having a slightly larger military presence, and I think that's what sort of ended up beating Hazza in the end. Let's head on out to the next match, though. Thank you very much for watching so far. My name is Interjection, casting alongside Maito. This tournament is indeed brought to you by ESO. You're drunk, Jection. No, I'm just tired from casting what have been some really, really nice games. Quite a few basically they've all been like 25, 30 minutes long. This has been really, really quite good. The score is now 3-1 to Hazza, though. We will be going into this final game.
3-1 to Raphael, sorry.
Yes, you're right. 3-1 to Raphael. This could be the final game, the score being 3-1.
Yeah, but the next map is going to be, yes. I forget, it is Kamchatka. So moving back towards that classic ESOC map, the very first Garja map. And the civs are reset, so anything goes at this stage in the series.
Including India.
Yeah, and it is Raphael's pick, I believe. So Hazza does get the counter pick. So he could still bring this series back. He's not out by any means.
If Hazza's going to get back in this series, this is where it's going to happen. He's now having access to all the civilizations he's comfortable with. And can do that. Maybe we'll see French come out. He's got an exceptionally high win rate with France in tournament games. So could potentially be on the cards, and certainly a good civ for Kamchatka. He was worried he'll be shaking in his boots. Ooh! I've been really pleased with this series so far. This has been a really good one.
Yeah, it's like every time you think a game might be over, someone throws something at you, and you're like, wait. Oh, it's not over. Last game, even asking for a gentleman's agreement. Has a sniffs weakness.
Yeah.
Maybe the stamina is, in favor of Hazza here. Hazza has, of course, played many long team games, many long treaty games he's played as well. I remember he played treaty for a few weeks, almost exclusively earlier this year. Raphael hasn't really been playing as much AOE3 as Hazza lately, so this longer series may be more draining on the old man.
He did have to play Kanisi earlier, so maybe that's enough practice.
Maybe, but he didn't win that series.
No, he didn't.
He pulled it out.
Yeah,
So
your assessment might be correct. He cracked under the long game pressure that Kanisi was putting up.
oh my god, and we've got the Russia. This is actually Raphael's most played Civ as well.
And you would know that because you trawled through all his stats yesterday.
I did dig up all of his stats yesterday. I believe he played 24 games of Russia across all of the ESOC tournaments that he's participated in. The next closest being, I believe, 20 games. I don't remember what Civ that was. But so this is definitely like a Civ that we could maybe consider even his main Civ, or the Civ that he could, like, he's very comfortable with. On Kamchatka, it kind of makes some sense, maybe, in the sense that, yeah, there's a lot of resources and stuff like that. Like, it's not super easy for Russia to really pressure their opponent's base on this map, but it is kind of easy to hold map control, at least on the summer version of this map, with those lakes and the choke points and stuff like that. So it kind of makes sense here. It doesn't seem like maybe he's super confident in the pick himself.
Well, yeah, I pick Russia. It's just like oh, I want to play this Civ, and he's just like, oh, it could be some glaring weaknesses on Kamchatka, and I'm just gonna pick it. Like that's how he feels.
Not to mention, you have to first pick it. Hazza's literally hovering India from last game, which he can play India, but France, ooh, what? I'm surprised that Hazza wouldn't stick with India in this matchup. Maybe when he has the counter pick, maybe he's afraid that Raphael picked it even while he was hovering India. Maybe he's afraid that Raphael has some trick up his sleeve for that matchup or something like that.
Yeah, there we go.
But France, a Civ that has been very successful on as well. So
yeah, look at an overwhelmingly high win rate. Has a 75% win rate with this civilization in tournament games. And this is going back to sort of 2015-16. So this is a Civ historically as well. He's been very, very strong with. Go ahead, Maisu.
And that win rate doesn't even account for the game that he won earlier in this series on France. So
oh, that's true. that was the game he won. His very first game in this series with his single victory here. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ESOC Autumn Championships 2018. This is game number 5 in a best-of-7 series between LordRaphael. Here he is in the north of the map, in the colour blue, playing as indeed Russia versus Hazza. We'll go to him in just a moment. This is match point. We could see a victory for LordRaphael here, which would end the series. Currently, LordRaphael, 67% win rate with this particular Civ, so quite high, but only a slight few percentage points higher than his overall tournament win rate. So this Civ certainly something he's strong with, but compared to Hazza's French pick, this is definitely a game that Hazza is going to be pleased going into, and this is a nice map as well for Kamchatka. For France is Kamchatka. Early trading post, market going up. Is going to be getting that hunting dogs nice and early, and does come across 85 wood. I think both players have seen that. This is going to be LordRaphael not going to quite go for it. They just want to scout out the other big treasures on here. They know each other is nearby. Let's get rid of these graphics. What do you think of this then? Russia versus versus France.
I honestly think it's actually a pretty close matchup sometimes. It's a pretty bloody matchup sometimes.
Oh, yes,
and,
absolutely.
A lot of people have sort of said recently that Russia's not a very strong Civ, but it's not always super easy to deal with the aggression, and even though you're playing France, and even though you have...
Oh, is he going to get the hand attack? No. LordRaphael not going to slip up there, not going to let Hazza get onto him. And does pick up that 85 wood treasure, relatively uncontested. Going to take a few pot shots here from Hazza on the retreat, but at least he's not in hand combat. Going to be really pleased with that pickup. Macaque. He looks like he has been caught here, but he's got the macaque to help him.
Yeah, and bringing in his own macaque as well. Going to be bringing in the native scout as well to sort of really pull an advantage out of this fight. Free tag will go down, sadly.
Rip.
But the Russian explorer will escape. And yeah, I don't know about this matchup. Honestly, I feel like it could go either way. I don't know why. I feel like it should be good for France, but in my experience, it's not super easy. And Raphael, of course, being very comfortable on Russia. Well, both players being comfortable with this Civ, we could be in for a really bloody game for sure.
Yeah, and currently LordRaphael is leading this Age 1 here. He's managed to find himself 85 wood. Hazza, on the other hand, look at that. The native scout coming in strong. 8 goats compared to his opponent's 0. I think actually he did get a goat, but he's just eaten it here. So this signals to me LordRaphael realizes he's a little bit behind on the goats here. He's playing Russia. He wants to end this quick and dirty. He needs to be aggressive. Going to get that age up in QASAP. Going up on 14 villagers by the looks of it.
Yeah, unfortunately for Raphael, that goat converting to Hazza.
Whoops.
But yeah, it looks like gonna be a little bit of idle time for both players. Actually, we're past 3 minutes already. Hazza's actually finished training his 14th villager like almost 15 seconds ago, and only just now clicks up. So a pretty late age up from both players here. Maybe sort of signals how distracted they were by the explorers, by the goats and the explorers fighting earlier and stuff like that. You know, they weren't totally on top of their macro. But fortunately for the both of them, since it did happen to both players, it's not going to be a super big deal here. TP coming out for Raphael. That's interesting. Not something you always see from Russia, but it is definitely an option they have. It will delay his blockhouse a little bit. If he even chooses to go for a blockhouse.
Yeah.
And it will sort of ramp up that mid-colonial pressure a little bit more quickly than you know it otherwise would have, at the expense of that early game pressure.
Looks like, though, we are going to see that that forward blockhouse. 3 villagers going forward to compensate perhaps for the age up there and the fact that he's building that trading post. Now just going to be getting that wood in and the villagers switching back to food, as you can see. Blockhouse going to go down in the middle of the map here. Hazza finds it with his native scout. Going to see that blockhouse go down. Freitag coming in as well. Is unable to stand on the foundation, but does indeed see it. Comes in to start sieging. Blue Explorer coming in now to try and deal with the fact that these units are here. Freitag going to do a bit of damage. Sadly, Freitag cannot siege, but here's the Blue Explorer. It looks like he's going to sail straight past that. I imagine he'll turn around in just a moment. But LordRaphael now up to the next age. Quartermaster was selected. 400 wood on the floor. Trading post, blockhouse, fast age up. Hazza not far behind.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually not going to turn around and force his units off of his blockhouse. I suppose the native scout doesn't do too much siege, even to a building under construction. And just, you know, going to prioritize the information on what Hazza's up to over defending the extra hit points on that blockhouse. Is going to spot the stable, maybe steal away this 40 wood treasure too. Maybe not.
No, it's a red explorer nearby. Can he get into hand combat? Look, they both crack shot. Brilliant.
Oh, but Raphael gets it.
Yeah, he does. Oh wow, I thought
he's gonna probably lose. No, not gonna go into melee mode. Not gonna kill that explorer. What? He's confused.
I thought
unfortunate.
For sure Hazza was gonna get that. But looks like
five with 5 muskets. Actually, not even slowed down at all by this trading post that you constructed earlier. At least with the early units, going to be walking in. There are still CDB exposed on the back, not garrisoning right away.
Ooh,
going to...
rip.
Oh, he does pick up 1 CDB, forcing more idle time. And this is kind of the awkward part of playing France in this matchup, is because sometimes you don't get the age-up time super early, and you have to wait for your 400 wood before you place that military building, then wait for the military building to construct, while Russia's just training units and sending units, right-clicking your base. And then you get idled, and you don't get out a full batch of Hussars. And this is going to be a really good trade for Raphael, forcing a lot of idle time, forcing villagers to fight, cleaning up the Hussars, and he still has most of his units left. And there is no resources left for Hazza. He can't train units. 4 Cossacks coming in now for Raphael. Another shipment almost ready for Russia as well as a result of that trading post. It is available now. I wonder if he's going to send 13 Strelets next just to try and put the nail in the coffin like as early as possible. 5 more musketeers coming in from the back.
Yeah, this is
together. Goats typing lol.
He's
okay.
not pleased. Look, he's not pleased at all. Looks like LordRaphael is going to leave the base now, and Hazza is going to be able to get back to work. But as you said, no resource income, no units in queue, just villagers in queue. Is trying to desperately gather up as much as he can from these goats. They're not fully fattened yet. Thankfully, he got so many of them. Hopefully, this can even it up a bit. He just needs to get some resources in queue. But LordRaphael has this on lockdown. There's nothing Hazza can do. No gather time coming in and already calling GG is really not pleased with this position. GG coming out. Hazza54321, your tournament life is over. LordRaphael takes the 3rd place victory in this tournament here. He'll be picking up $200 as his prize winnings. Hazza, though, will go away with a Constellation 100. What an excellent series, though. Looks like LordRaphael, a decisive, quick victory here. France just not able to get off their feet.
Yeah, and that was just Raphael showing exactly how he exactly how well he knows Russia and how well he knows the matchup. He knows that, or I guess he saw how late that Hazza's stable was going up as a result of that age time, as a result of France having to wait for that 400 wood and stuff like that, and just decides to pull the trigger and go in as hard as possible under that town center, deny the gathering, deny the training of those military units, and pulls out the win fairly convincingly in this final game.
Yeah, and that is the nail in the coffin. LordRaphael showing us that he is a very competent player. 4 victories to 1. Did lose to Kanisi, so will not be in the grand finals, as you can see by this match, but does pick up this victory, does take this series, and does become the 3rd place winner. So a very respectable finish. Hazza, I think, can also be pleased with a 4th place finish. I think that is the highest he's gotten so far in an ESOC tournament. So watch out for Hazza54321. In the last year or so has come a very long way and is a very competent player. Looking forward to more from him in the future. But that is the end of this series. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. My name has been Interjection, joined by The Toe. Happy birthday, Maito.
Why, thank you. I have aged a few years since the last time we streamed. I will likely be a few years older by the time the finals are underway. So
yes, and that will be on Sunday. So you'll be another, I think, 3 years older by then. So join us on Sunday